like a room with the bright sauce. Hail Mary, they despise what the light brought. Let them roach niggas bleed if they can't see. Side at a TV, what you can't be. They say that murder on my mind, now they can't breathe. Take a picture of the crew, that's your last peep. Oh, I need me your love, yeah, that's just me. Keep them jumping like some frogs, so they might be leave with the sunset. And they don't really wanna bleed from the gunplay. And like mine, niggas smoking weed on the one-way street, nigga. Yeah, we see we outside with it. Pull up to debates like we might be with it on guard. Side these niggas like bullshit and they fraud. Let me chop them down with the sword. Walk them down like they live bars. This the toughest you gon' be in, we too hard. And you don't really want that smoke, my G. With B-side net on TV. This the toughest environment, the toughest environment, the toughest environment to be in, be in. Toughest environment, the toughest environment, the toughest environment to be in, be in. Toughest environment, the toughest environment, the toughest environment to be in, be in. Toughest environment, the toughest environment, the toughest environment to be in, be in. The toughest environment, the toughest environment, the toughest environment to be in, be in. Toughest environment, the toughest environment, the toughest environment to be in, be in. Keep that off your lip before you get flipped. We got sources over here, we don't just spit. Too many bosses over here, y'all just legit. Put them niggas in the game, let them get real. Don't even step unless you come in with that scholarship. That economic tip, gotta make a dollar flip. And I might be next, I don't give a damn, a truth rolling with me, so I'm feeling like the son of man. Too many gon' hate, gotta make a stand. I'm just trying to duck the lake, you don't understand. Read them when I greet them, that's my best plan. Head first shit, I'm just saying. Nigga meet me in LA, oh you just playing. Too many be fake, what the base saying. So I tell them they don't want no smoke before they end up in the newspaper next day. Smoke, this the toughest environment, the toughest environment, the toughest environment to be in, be in. Toughest environment, the toughest environment, the toughest environment to be in, be in. Toughest environment, the toughest environment, the toughest environment to be in, be in. Toughest environment, the toughest environment, the toughest environment to be in, be in. The toughest environment, the toughest environment, the toughest environment to be in, be in. Toughest environment, the toughest environment, the toughest environment to be in, be in. Toughest environment, the toughest environment, the toughest environment to be in, be in. Toughest environment, the toughest environment, the toughest environment to be in, be in. And this is it right here. The toughest you gon' ever be in. You wasn't conscious before us. Y'all niggas was asleep. We woke the sleeping giant. We did it. Side dinner TV. So stay your ass in your little bitty box where you feel safe. Cause it's motherfucking monsters over here. Real monsters.
Peace and Pan-Africanisms to Brother Herman Smalls in the toughest environment you can be in.
Peace. Assalamu alaikum. Hotep. Everybody can hear me okay, right? Right? Okay, cool. Hotep, Namaste, Jambo, Ashe, Shalom, all the greetings of love and light to the darkest minds of the light, to the HOK family, to the toughest environment. I am Napasha Da. Before we even get started, let's do a huge shout out to Neo Love. He is a giant when it comes to this music, an absolute talent. So shout out to Neo Love. That's awesome. We love his songs. They are a staple over here in the toughest environment in the HOK, House of Consciousness forum. Also, as you see on the stage, on the page, we have the upcoming pay-per-view. Talk about giants. We got Clash of the Titans over here, the monumental debate between Unc West, aka the God Killer, aka Pseudo Killer, coming against the one and only Dr. Inky the Mason, and they will be debating what this is, the scientific portion of Charles Darwin's theory of evolution? And did Darwin produce a scientific theory of evolution? Only exclusively in the HOK. This is going to go down on the 25th. That's approaching quickly. Get your tickets. They're only $30. This is going to be one of the classics, of course. You know, after this goes down, Sonetter's going to probably lock this in the vault. So please don't miss it. Be there. Say you were there. Say you saw this go down, going down in history. So we got that out the way. By the way, speaking of Darwin and speaking of evolution, we have, where's Ivory? Oh, well, Ivory's not here, but we have the Info Warriors, Ivory's Info Warriors. Shout out to Ivory Scales. The sister has organized these debaters, these very hot, they're very informed, very experienced. These two are very experienced. I know that this isn't their first rodeo. But I wanted Ivory to come in, talk a little bit about what she's doing over there. I think you've heard us before. She's got a great group that she put together, intelligent, tenacious warriors of information. So today, evolution, the debate is evolution real? We have the Silky D, Professor Silky D, most high ruler, going up against our brother, Steve Caballero. We're going to get right into this debate because we're starting late. Oh, shout out to Sonetter. I see you backstage. Peace to you. So what we're doing is, y'all know how it goes. The basic format, I'm not just talking to the debaters, I'm talking to the audience. 5-minute opening, 3 15-minute rounds. We're going to give the debaters 2 minutes each to interrogate each other. And then we have a 5-minute close. And of course, we will open the panel and let people come in and ask questions, not teach, ask questions. And I think Somnetter might start a poll sometime during the debate. So this is going to be good. Thank you so much for everyone here. Please hit the like. I do have the channels up on the platform. I have different channels up, but I'm going to be closing all those other channels down and only have it exclusively on the HOK Coliseum, because this is where it goes down in the debates, for the debates. So without further ado, gentlemen, which one of you said you'll go first? Steve Caballero. So get your popcorn, your drinks, whatever you're doing, and let's go ahead and get this started. Hit the like button. Any questions before I leave the stage? Any questions from the debaters? Either one of you? No? All right, they're ready. They've been ready. All right, so when I leave the stage, your time begins. You have 5 minutes for your intro. When I come back, you have 1 minute left. So you want to start wrapping it up, and then I will say time. All right, y'all? So yes, come on over. Sonetta, put that up there. You let me know. I'm going to get your timer ready. And I will leave the stage, Mr. Caballero.
Can you put up the slides?
Yes. If you want your slides for the intro.
Yeah, there's only one slide for the intro. Yeah.
Okay. Is this it?
That's it.
I'm asking, is that the one?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Let me take this down on the stage. Yes, I'm going to give you 10 seconds. I'm closing it down on this Sonetter Studios. Come over to the HOK. Come over to the HOK Coliseum. And I'm closing it down on, let's see, remove that. I'm closing it down on my channel. Okay, so let's get everybody should be over at the Coliseum by now, y'all. Should be at the Coliseum. And last but not least, it's going to get closed down off of the House of Consciousness platform. Come to the HOK Coliseum. Por favor, no duras tanto. It's going on over here. All right, let's do this. Now we're only on the Coliseum. Your time starts. 1 second. I want to make sure I have your stopwatch. Your time starts when I leave. All right.
Hello, everyone, particularly Ivory Scale and all of Info Warriors. Evolution is not fake. My name is Steve Caballero. My Kemetic name is Ke Mahetep, he who rises through the 11 laws of peace. But Most people can't say that, so I just stick with Steve. So my introduction. Evolution, a slow gradual change over time, generally implies a forward progression or advancement. Evolution of computer technology. The entire audience and judges knows that when applied to computer technology, evolution is not fake. Evolution of the physical earth, the geologic timeline. Most people who have been to school should know that the physical earth is very old, about 4.5 billion years, and has been through many physical and biological changes or has evolved over time. Topic 1. The fossil record. Human embryology and genetic evidence supports that biological life has changed and adapted, evolved over time as the physical earth has changed. Topic 2. Natural selection and how it contributes to a slow, gradual change over time, evolution of organisms. Topic 3. How can evolution be fake, but it is only real and applicable when used in taxonomy to classify organisms? So now I will share my screen. One second. Okay. Can you all see this? The evolution of computer. Well, whether or not you can see it. Okay, so we know that the first generation computer was in the evolution of computers. The first generation computer was in the 1940s through the 1950s. Then the second generation was the 1950s to the 1960s. The third generation, like for example, that desktop there was the third generation, the 1960s through the 70s. And the fourth generation, the 1970s through the 80s. And today we have laptops and desktops, and also we have more advanced computers. So one example of evolution, which is not fake, which is real, is the evolution of computers. Then we also have the geologic timeline. We know that the Earth is about 4.5 billion years old, and that in the beginning, I'm talking 4.5 billion, roughly 4.5 million years ago, the Earth was looking at the geologic timeline, the Earth was hot. So it started off very hot at the Hadean era. So the geologic timeline, which we use to understand evolution, the evolution of the planet, as well as evolution of biologic life, is divided into eons, eras, periods, and epochs. So very early on, we know the Earth was very hot at about 4 billion years ago. Then it cooled down, not 4 billion, dinosaurs became extinct 65 billion years ago. So if I'm going through the different periods, and so we start with the Archean, the Proterozoic, and the Earth continues to cool down, and we end up at about 500 million years ago. We have the Cambrian, the Denovician, the Silurian, and life starts to evolve or show up on the planet Earth as it continues to cool down. And this evidence is based on the fossil record as well as carbon dating, and coming closer to the modern era or the modern epoch, there you see the saber-toothed cat or the saber-toothed tiger, the mammoth, the woolly mammoth, which is extinct, and we see humans as well, or so-called Homo sapiens. How much time do I have left in the park? I should be at about 32 seconds. I'm right on time. Okay.
Now you're
so
at 46.
Okay.
26.
Were you able to see my screen when I showed the?
Everything's there.
Okay. Thank you so much. I'm not going to yield any time. I have about 20 seconds left. Yes. So the evolution of that term, what I'm saying is that evolution in terms of slow, gradual change over time, it is observable. We know about the evolution of computers, and we've also been to school and we studied the geologic timeline, and based on which uses the fossil record and carbon dating to understand that evolution is real. Thank you so much.
Time. All right. Sounds good. Okay. Let me take yours down, and thank you so much. Let me see. Silky, when he's talking, everybody keep their cameras on, please. That's something that we just do over here. So if you could also have your camera on. I wasn't really focusing on him, sorry, but yeah, let's keep our cameras on if you can, gentlemen. And Silky, is there anything you want to share before you want to share your PowerPoint as well for your intro?
No, I don't have to share it, but I will take my 5.
Okay, you're going to take your 5 minutes, of course. So when I leave, just like I said with him, your time starts. I'll be back in 4 minutes. And
right.
Okay, and just let me get this reset.
All righty then, everybody there at home, y'all are in a treat tonight. Man, y'all are about to get spoiled. And I'm glad he brought, so evolution of computers. That's gonna be funny. We talking Macintosh to Dell. But yeah, we're gonna I'm bringing y'all everything tonight when it comes to evolution. We're gonna go ahead and put it into this once and for all. Like after this, I really don't want to see it being brought up anymore. I'm literally bringing y'all. So I got the dirt and the goods on all the evolutionists people. You know what I'm saying? I went out my way to find the tabs on these folks and get the real deal of how they feel about their own evolution in-house, indoors. So I will be using evolution people to kill evolution is what I'll be doing tonight. So y'all are gonna see a bunch of sources. We talking about the whale. We talking about Lucy, fossils, DNA, all that. We about to dive into all those things today. You know, even the pepper moth about to get brought up. Richard Dawkins about to be brought up. Evolution. Yeah, we about to go touch all fields of the evolution today. All this gradual change, all this constant change, this evolving door that's always happening, but nobody has ever witnessed it with their own eyes. So that's what we're going to try to see what's going on with that. Yeah, we're going to dig all into that. We're going into laboratories. We're going to see how these evolutionary people run evolutionary tests, but they're not in the natural ecosystem. So we're going to see about that. Like, because that's one thing I need to know is how are you testing evolution if you're not testing it in a natural habitat or ecosystem? So yeah, I'm breaking all that down. We're going to be going deep into it. I'm not wasting no time. I got 50 slides, all ammo. I got daggers, bullets, everything. Yeah, I'm fully loaded. The case of ammo that I have tonight is going to be ridiculous. I was going over it earlier today. Everybody's in for a treat. You know what I'm saying? So y'all just sit back, get your popcorn, roll your stuff up, get your drink, you know what I'm saying? And have a good time, man. Yeah, because this is all, this is all scientists, all PhDs, no fake sources. These are all real sources. Get your source game up. All sources on evolution, poking holes in it. I'm showing you all the cracks. I'm showing you all the flaws. I'm giving you all the issues. I'm gonna tell you everything that they don't tell you. They telling you, but y'all, if you don't look for it, you ain't gonna know. So I'm gonna show you all the stuff that the evolutionary people say about the flaws in their own work. That's what I'm gonna be bringing y'all tonight. So definitely you in for a treat. We touching on a lot of things. I can't wait to we got a whale that walked on land. That used to be a dog, the blue whale, they say. So we're gonna touch on that. We're gonna touch on this Lucy, this Australopithecus africanus, that's supposed to be in our human gene and whatnot. We apparently evolved from that. We're gonna touch on the fossil database and the scarcity that there is, because if evolution is always occurring and it's been occurring for all these many years, we should have an abundance of evidence, an abundance of fossils, an abundance of archaeology. There used to be an abundance of fossils all over the place. Not to mention, since you want to talk evolution, the abundance of transitional fossils is what we really need to be talking about. So yeah, we're going to be digging into all that tonight. Not playing no games. I'm firing off all shots. Y'all about to see a mean offense tonight. Like, it's big time laid out. I'm going 40 points on this one. If he survives the first 2 rounds, I'll be shocked. So it's your boy Silky D, man. Everybody, glad y'all came out. Shout out to the Silkite Kingdom. Leader of the Silkite, Silkadonia. Y'all know how we do, man. Holla at your boy. Make sure you find a chat. Everybody know about Silkadonia, the hottest place out. Yeah, man, y'all get at your boy. Nothing but fire tonight. Nothing but sources. Nothing but buku amount of sources. That's it. We're not talking. We're not freestyling. We're not giving no opinions. No, we're dropping facts on top of facts on top of facts. So he gonna have to come up with something. Just know I got shots going his way. Definitely aimed at him, going for his head. So yeah, y'all about to see the PhDs. Y'all about to see all the geneticists, the scientists, all that. I'm about to touch all of them. I'm about to get in all their face and get the real deal and present it and show y'all what's the real on evolution, how it works, and why it's just a religion. It's a belief. It's not why it's not a scientific law.
Time.
That's what y'all.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Silky. Thank you so much, Mr. Caballero, Steve. And now we will go into the first round. Each round is 15 minutes. We're starting out with the competitor, Mr. Caballero. And when you're ready, do you want me to share your slides again? Okay. You know,
Yes,
you
please.
can manipulate your slides at the bottom. You can
Yes.
maneuver them. All right. When I leave the panel, your 15 minutes begin. When I'm returned, you're at 14 minutes. Any
Okay.
questions before I go?
No.
All right. And
I think I'm gonna have to get saucy too and start riffing too. So with my drink, I'm gonna get saucy and start riffing too. Topic 1: evolution is not fake. As I said previously, the fossil record, a fossil, the hard remains of organisms that once lived, it's real. There is actual evidence. There is a fossil record. Human embryology and genetic evidence supports that biological life has changed and adapted, evolved over time.
I've lost your time. I'm sorry. Silky, you have to have your camera on during the rounds. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Go ahead. You're at 30 seconds. Sorry about that, but let's both of you keep your cameras on. All right. Resume,
I can
please.
continue. Yes. So the fossil record, human embryology, and well, I won't even bother, right? Genetic evidence supports that biological life has changed and adapted over time.
You can start your round over. I'm trying to understand, Silky. Are you having technical difficulties? Maybe? Are you having some tech difficulties? You're muted. Are you having tech difficulties? Is that why the camera's going off?
Yeah, you could say that. I'm gonna keep my screen on definitely. I'm just doing like little knickknacks. And I don't want y'all, you know what I'm saying? But I'm gonna definitely try to have my screen on the majority of the time. It's not a problem.
Yeah. That's Netter's texting me saying that. He's saying, tell him to turn his screen on. So it's just the thing that he wants to do. So, okay. So I'm gonna let him start back up from the top.
Not a problem.
And he has to do the same for you. He has to do the same for you. And because the audience like to see your reaction when he's going, if you start sweating, stuff like that. Oh. So go ahead, Steve. Start back from the top.
I'm starting at 15 minutes again. I'm starting all over.
Yes,
not
0.
I'm gonna
hold on a second.
All right, family. Thank you so much. All right, start.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I need to get source too, and maybe I need to start riffing. But I actually prepared. I have PowerPoint slides on. I won't talk about my credentials, but my stance is that evolution is real, slow, gradual change over time from the broader perspective, and also bringing in all of the evidence to support that biological evolution, slow, gradual change over time is real. Whether we're talking about humans or the physical Earth, it is real. So the fossil record, human embryology, and genetic evidence supports that biological life has changed and adapted, evolved over time, as the physical Earth has also changed and evolved. So also you have something called vestigial organs. Is an organ or tissue that has lost its original function through a slow, gradual change over time, evolution, but still exists in a reduced or altered form. We know that the human gestation period is 9 months. And if we're talking about specifically a human, we can see how it has changed over time, even within its mother. And the different phases that it goes through suggest that there is an evolutionary relationship and that life on the planet is tied, linked, and interconnected. Also, the fossil record, right? So the fossil record, dinosaurs became extinct 65 million years ago. And to say that you can go to the, in New York, you could go to the Museum of Natural History, and there you have fossils of dinosaurs. So to say that evolution that evolution is not real, that 65 million years ago there were no dinosaurs. That doesn't make much sense. Okay, so topic 1. The fossil record, human embryology, and genetic biological evidence supports that a slow, gradual change over time evolution is not fake. And there you're looking at a human embryo, but I'll put up an image of the embryo, a larger image of the embryo in a second. But right there, around the human embryo, around the 4th or 8th week of development, so human embryos exhibit something called pharyngeal arches, sometimes superficially called gill-like. So they look gill-like, like if the human embryo was meant to live in water. Similar to a fish, structures around the 4th to 8th weeks, and fingers and toes being webbed. So when about 4 to 8 weeks of development in our mother, we had webbed fingers and toes as though we were supposed to live in a watery environment. So it looked like we were going to have gills based on those gill slits, and we had webbing in our fingers and our toes. At around 8 weeks before separating through a process called apoptosis, when certain genes were turned on and then they broke down the tissue, so that we would have real fingers and real toes. Sometimes, even today, children are born with that webbing between their fingers and toes, and they have to be surgically removed. And that suggests that humans did evolve on this planet, or that we are also closely tied and linked to all life on this planet. It is also important to note that these arches structures are not true gills. Humans, unlike fish, do not use them for respiration, gas exchange, cellular respiration, cellular energy production. Instead, they contribute to development of the face, neck, jaw, parathyroid glands, and other structures. So yes, so one form of evidence that humans have evolved, or that we're tied to the planet, is that when we look at the human embryo during its different phases, you can see that there is an evolutionary link, that we are connected to other forms of life on the planet. Then if we look at genetics, which is a form of modern science, genetically, right? We know that modern humans, Homo sapiens sapiens, are 98 to 99 genetically related to chimpanzees and bonobos. And that is from sciencenewstoday.org. Other great apes are slightly more distinct. Gorillas share 97%, and orangutans also around 97%. And that's from scienceofbiogenetics.com. Then even more distant primates like rhesus monkeys share roughly 93% DNA with humans. That's from the Smithsonian Institution. These similarities confirm the modern human Homo sapiens sapiens and chimpanzees common ancestor linkage diverging about 6 to 7 million years ago. And that's from sciencenewstoday.org. So they're saying that the evidence suggests that roughly 6 to 7 million years ago, which is a very long time ago, but the genetic evidence also support that there was a common ancestor, and that humans diverge from that. Chromosomal comparison. Modern humans, Homo sapiens sapiens, have 23 pairs of body cell chromosomes for a total of 46, whereas chimpanzees, bonobos, and gorillas have 24 pairs of body cell chromosomes for a total of 48 chromosomes. And that information is from sciencenewstoday.org. The major differences in chromosomal numbers between modern humans, Homo sapiens sapiens, and great apes arise from chromosome 2, which resulted from a fusion of 2 ancestral ape chromosomes. This fusion left distinct molecular markers, including vestigial telomeres and a centromere, providing concrete evidence of a slow, gradual evolutionary link. The telomere is the end of the chromosome, and the centromere is the middle portion of the chromosome. Then moving along, topic 1. Genetic mutations are a natural process that results in slow, gradual change of organisms over time. So as cells divide by mitosis, asexual cell division, body cell production, or meiosis, sexual sperm and egg cell production, errors or changes, mutation in the genetic code occurs. So these changes are natural and they're meant for organisms to adapt to their environment. As the environment changes, if the organism does not adapt or evolve with the environment, they will become extinct. Then mutations may or may not produce detectable changes in the observable characteristics, the phenotype of an organism. Changes in the phenotype, physical characteristics may be favorable and allow organisms to better adapt and reproduce, thereby passing on the beneficial trait. Mutations play a part in both normal and abnormal biological processes, including evolution, cancer, and the development of an immune system. One form, so in mutation, the bottom slide, I'm not going to show this slide down here is where types of mutations are. You can have insertion, deletion, and substitution, which are natural processes. Then going on to, okay, let me share my screen 1 second. Right. So here is the human embryo, and there you see that the human embryo had actually had a tail, and there you see the facial arches where the pharyngeal arches were, and then also down here you can see. So when we talk about intelligent design, you can see that wherever you it's called the nitrogenous base sequence. Wherever you see an A, it binds to T, C binds to G, and so on. And that a mutation is when this gets altered. It can happen naturally. Well, it does happen naturally, where you can have an addition where additional letters are included. There can be a deletion where letters are taken out, or you can have substitution where letters are replaced, or codes are replaced, or nitrogenous bases are replaced. And this results in a mutation because this code here, it results in protein production. And so it's called transcription and translation. So if there's an error in transcription, there's also an error in translation, and you end up with the wrong protein, or a different protein, and that protein then results in you end up with cells, tissues, organs, and organ systems. So this is one way that mutations arise on the genetic level. So here we're looking at genes and DNA, and it can result genotypically that result in a phenotypic mutation, which can also allow organisms to better adapt to their environment. Also, 1 second. Yes, so in talking about the pharyngeal arches, or the in the first slide talked about evolution is not fake, and there, 1 second. Right. So here we see, going back to vestigial organs. One example of a vestigial organ in humans is the coccyx, or the tailbone. So the fact that we have a coccyx, that organ, it no longer functions, that's an indication that humans, and also the embryological evidence is an indication that humans are tied to other, or connected to other forms of life on the planet, as well as the genetic evidence that we share genetic information with not only the great apes, but other forms of life on the planet as well. Then there you have the whale. Now, my opponent mentioned about the whale. Based on this vestigial structure there in the whale, there you see that the whale, it has a femur, it also has a pelvis, and it has an ischium. So those vestigial structures or organs within the bone suggest that within the whale suggests that the whale millions of years ago, a very long time ago, that even the whale once walked on land. But also the fact that the whale is a mammal, and mammals are warm-blooded. They breathe air, they suckle their young. They don't have scales, they have fur. So these things are indications that the whale changed slowly over time. Also the fact that we have a coccyx, a tailbone, and the embryological evidence suggests that humans are connected to the planet, and the planet itself has also gone through slow, gradual changes over time. And then also I mentioned the fossil record, that the fossil record also supports evolution. The vestigial organs also support evolution. The fact that an organism that spends all of its time in water, it has remnants of organs of a time then when it possibly walked on land, such as a femur, a pelvis, and an ischium. Then also the fact that, so here you see that over there, you see that the egg and the sperm, and then you see, so during the process of meiosis and mitosis, that the DNA can be altered or changed naturally. So the egg can contain a mutation and the sperm can contain a mutation. Generally, that's caught by the immune system, but if it's not caught, you can have sperm cells and egg cells that contain altered information, and thereby passing on different genes that may or may not allow that organisms to adapt more easily to environmental change. So when we talk about a mutation is anything. So genotypically, there you have substitution, insertion, and deletion, but then phenotypically, a mutation is also any characteristic that is not dominant in the population. Okay, thank you so much. My time? Oh, I have about
40 more seconds.
40 more seconds. Oh, okay. Yes. So some of these phenotypic mutations, a physical mutation is any characteristic that's not dominant or found in most members of the population. So, for example, most people in the population, they're not light skinned or they're not pale, but based on the environmental factor, having pale skin can be beneficial in a cold environment where there's less sunlight. So most people have darker skin, but if we live in a cold environment, we should get out into the sunlight to help us to help our immune system with the production of vitamin D.
Time.
Thank
you so much.
Thank
you, Steve. That was your first round. Moving right along to Silky D. Silky, you need me to bring up that PowerPoint, right? Your presentation.
Yes, I would appreciate that.
Yes, sir. Here it is. Okay. I'm going to, because you need me to, well, I can hear you backstage.
Right. Yeah.
So I don't need to. So let me know.
Right.
Excuse me?
I said, I'll be like next slide and you just move with me.
Got you. All right. So when I remove myself, you know the drill. Your time starts.
Mm-hmm. All right. Okay, man. So I was paying attention to your opening, your first. So babies and fish hands, right? That's supposed to be aquatic in the embryo, but they come from apes. Yes. So wouldn't that be a kind of like a crazy contradiction, right? Because the apes still haven't evolved, right? Are you saying the apes come from the fish too? Also, that's a crazy contradiction. You contradicted, really kind of killed yourself right there. You're saying aquatic. You're saying it's aquatic, but then you're saying it's come from the ape. Which is it? I need you to pick one. Is it going to be from a fish, or is it going to be from the monkey? That's the problem. Evolution, people, I tell you. And then you brought up computers evolving. I guess Dell, Mac, Tesla. What are we talking here? What's Apple? Like, you know, all that good stuff. That's what computers do. That's fantastic. They're still made out of plastic. But okay, mutation, plus or negative to better adapt. That's one thing you brought up. But usually evolution is supposed to be progressive, right? But I give negative. So you're talking about, I'm guessing, special mutations and things like that. I like crazy. Tailbone, what is that? Yeah, the tailbone, right? So the tailbone and genetic apes and humans, right? And then the whales, right? And you got tailbone evidence, possibly walked on land. They adapted more easily. Characteristics: dark skin and light skin winters. Right. So that was everything you basically said in your round, and you don't have not one lick of direct evidence to support any of this stuff, any of these statements you made. Not one piece of direct evidence to prove that. You're talking tailbone. Prove us tailbones. Lay us out a bunch of tailbones so we can look at them. All right, and we can see ones, and then transitional fossils. Where are they at? Talking, you don't have not one piece of direct evidence to back up none of these statements. And then not to mention your statements are all over the place. You're talking about humans, but you're talking about computers, which is, I need you to pick one. But you know what? I'm going to deal with that later. I'm going to go ahead and let you handle that. Let's go ahead and get into this presentation, y'all. All right, first slide. Okay, belief in by Henry M. Morse, PhD. Belief in evolution is a remarkable phenomenon. It is a belief that passionately defended by the scientific establishment, despite the lack of any observable scientific evidence for macroevolution. That is, evolution from a distinct kind of organism into another. The odd situation is briefly documented here by citing recent statements from leading evolutionists admitting their lack of proof. I'm about to show you all your evolutionary people saying, man, this is crazy far-fetched, but I already cashed a check. Yeah, so that's what you about to see tonight. The odd situation is briefly documented here, citing recent statements from leading evolutionists admitting their lack of proof. These statements inadvertently show the evolution of any significant scale does not occur at present and never happened in the past and can never happen at all. It was still the case that, with the exception of the claim about the new species of a fruit fly, you know, the information new species by any mechanism that has never been observed. We have no new species. That part, where you let us know what the species turn to something else that's new. We don't have that. The scientific method traditionally has required experimental observation and replication. The fact that macroevolution, as distinct from microevolution, has never been observed would seem to exclude it from the domain of true science. As in, you ain't did no work in the laboratory. And how you even gonna replicate that type of test without having a natural ecosystem to back it up? But it sounds good though with y'all. So excluded from the true science, let me bring that back. The fact that microevolution, as distinct from microevolution, has never been observed would seem to exclude it from the domain of true science, because the scientific method traditionally has required experimental observation and replication. So what have you replicated? You haven't shown none of that. Even Ernest Mayr, the dean of living evolutionists, longtime professor of biology at Harvard, who has alleged that evolution is a simple fact, nevertheless agrees that it is an historical science for which laws and experiments are inappropriate techniques. That's y'all right there, running around there with them inappropriate techniques by which to explain it. No explanation for any of these statements you laid out. Zero. It's all suggest. It's all we think. It's all maybe, possibly. Not one fact. You couldn't even test it even if you wanted to, because you can't do that in the laboratory, Mr. Science guy. But I wish to explain it. One can never actually see evolution in action. When are we going to see it in action? When? Let us know. Evolutionists commonly answer evolution never happened in the past. Let's get into it. Evolutionists commonly answer the above criticism by claiming that evolution goes too slowly for us to see it happening today. They use the claim that the real evidence for evolution was in the fossil record of the past. But the fact is that the billions of known fossils do not include the single unequivocal, not include the single unequivocal, Let me see. Well, let me get into this. Yeah, all right, bet now. Okay, yeah. They usually claim that for real evidence for evolution, the fossil record for the past and back. Yeah, okay, unequivocal. Transitional form and transitional structures in the process of evolving. Given that evolution, according to Darwin, was in a continual state of motion, it followed logically that the fossil record should be rife with examples of transitional forms leading from the less to the more evolved. If you got all this evolution, all this, it should be a buku amount of fossils. You should have tons. There shouldn't be no shortage. You should be in abundance all over the place because we're evolving, right? Because the evolution is always happening. Even those who believe in rapid evolution recognize that a considerable number of generations would be required for one distinct kind to evolve into another, a more complex kind. Mr. Dog to a whale, Mr. Walking Animal to a blue whale. There are therefore to be a considerable number of true transitional structures preserved in the fossils after all the billions of non-transitional structures there. Let me bring that back. You know what? Let's bring that one back. Even those who believe in rapid evolution recognize that a considerable number of generations would be required for one distinct kind to evolve into another more complex kind. There ought therefore to be a considerable number of true transitional structures preserved in the fossils. After all, there are billions of non-transitional structures there because you ain't shown not one transitional. We need to line up all that transitional. We're not even worried about the fossils. If you can't show the transition, you just blowing smoke. But with the exception of the few very doubtful creatures, such as a controversial feathered dinosaur and the alleged walking whales, they are not there. They are not there. Y'all ain't got none of that. Let's keep going. Evolution is not happening now. First of all, the lack of the case for evolution is clear from the fact that no one has ever seen it happen. If it was a real process, evolution should still be occurring. And there should be many transitional forms that we could observe. What we see instead, of course, is an array of distinct kinds of plants and animals with many varieties within each kind, but with very clear and apparently unbridgeable gaps between the kinds. That is, for example, there are many varieties of dogs and many varieties of cats, but no dats or no cogs. Such a variation is often called microevolution, and these minor horizontal or downward changes occur fairly often, but such changes are not true vertical evolution. Evolutionary geneticists have often experimented on fruit flies and other rapidly reproducing species to induce mutational changes, hoping they would lead to a new and better species, but these have all failed to accomplish their goal. No truly new species has ever been produced, let alone a new basic kind. Currently in evolution, Jeffrey Schwartz, professor in anthropology at the University of Pittsburgh, has recently acknowledged that. Your own people, I got your own evolutionary people saying it ain't working. Let's go to the next one. Nepal. Instead of filling in the gaps in the fossil record with so-called missing links, most paleontologists found themselves facing a situation in which there were only gaps in the fossil record with no evidence of transitional intermediates between documented fossil species. Where are your transitions at? Show us, we need the transitions. If you ain't got transitional fossils, man, y'all gotta stop it with this fugazi. The entire history of evolution, from evolution to life, from non-life to
Silky, pause your time for a second. You're at 9 minutes. Okay. Are you seeing the slides? Because I'm not.
I'm on the next page. I'm just on the next. Go to 2, the second one.
Yeah, it's not progressing. So I'm gonna take it down and put it back up again.
Okay.
Please hit the like button, everybody. Sorry about that. Like I said, I'll put you at 9 minutes now.
I'm just on my second one right now.
Okay, now let's see here. It is not going forward. No, give me a second. I don't know. It was before, but it's not doing it now. Okay, 1 second. Let's try it all over again. Fresh. I know you were really on a roll. So I apologize for stopping you, but I'm sure you'll pick right back up. I just got to make sure your slides are showing. Okay, can you see your slides at all?
You haven't shared it yet.
Hold on. Now, there, slide 2. You can see it now?
You're not on 2 yet.
Damn, there. Okay, there it is. Got it?
Okay,
That should be 2.
Yeah, we're on 2.
Okay, and when you start your time, you're at 9 minutes.
I bet. Oh man, the entire history of evolution, from the evolution of life from non-life to evolution of vertebrates, from invertebrates to the evolution of man, from the ape to stringently devoid of intermediates, the links are all missing in the fossil record, just as they are in the present world. Yeah, where your links at? Where your links at? All this time y'all been studying, where your links at? With respect to the origin of life, a leading researcher in the field, Leslie Orgel, after noting that neither proteins nor nucleotide acids could have arisen without the other, concludes. And so at first glance, one might have to conclude that life could never, in fact, have originated by chemical means. Being committed to total evolution as he is, Dr. Orgel cannot accept any such conclusion as that. Therefore, he speculates that RNA may have come first. But then he still has to admit that the precise events giving rise to the RNA world remain unclear. Investigators have proposed many hypotheses, but evidence in favor of each of them is fragmentary at best. So yeah, if you want to go run the RNAs, now you got to go break down all that. Give us the origins of that. So good luck with that one. Daggers, shots, Hadoukens, all you get, major bullets. Translation: there is no known way by which life could have arisen naturalistically. Unfortunately, 2 generations of students have been taught that Stanley Miller's famous experiment on gases and mixtures practically proved the naturalistic origin of life, but not so. Miller put the whole thing in a ball, gave an electrical charge, and waited, and he found amino acids and other fundamental complex molecules. Okay, neither is there any clue as to how one of the cell organisms of the primordial world could have evolved into a vast array of complex multi-cell invertebrates of the Cambrian period. Even a dogmatic evolutionist could admit that. The Cambrian explosion was the most remarkable and puzzling event in history of life. Equally puzzling, however, is some invertebrate creatures in the ancient ocean, with all of its hard parts on the outside, managed to evolve into the first vertebrate, that is, the first fish, with its hard parts all in the inside. Yet the transition from spineless invertebrates to the first backbone fish is still shrouded in mystery, and many theories abound. Yeah, like y'all, everywhere we turn, y'all head is full of mystery and theories. So yeah, a bunch of opinions because y'all ain't got not one piece of hard evidence. Other gaps are abundant with no real transitional series anywhere. A very bitter opponent of creation science paleontologist Niles Eldridge has acknowledged that there is little to any evidence of evolutionary transitions in the fossil record. Instead, things remain the same. That, like your ape, it remains the same. It is a simple, intellectual truth that virtually all members of the biota remain basically stable, the minor fluctuations throughout their durations. So the evolutionary route, let me see. Go to 3, Nepal. You on 3?
You're on 3.
We on 3 now, Nepal. You went to 3?
Yes, you're on 3. You can't do it.
Okay, bet. All right. Fossil discoveries can muddle over attempt to construct simple evolutionary trees. Fossils form key periods are often not intermediates, but rather hodgepodges of defining features of many different groups. Generally, it seems that major groups are not assembled in a simple linear or progressive manner. New features are often cut and pasted on different groups at different times. As far as the ape human intermediates are concerned, The same is true, although anthropologists have been eagerly searching for them for many years. Many have been proposed, but each has been rejected in turn. All that paleoanthropologists have to show for more than 100 years of digging are remains from fewer than 2,000 of our ancestors. They have used this assortment of jawbones, teeth, and fossilized scraps, together with molecular evidence from living species to piece together a line of human descent going back 5 to 8 million years. Okay, then we still gonna get it. Since there is no real evidence that evolutionary is current at the present or ever occurred in the past, it is reasonable to conclude that evolution is not a fact of science, as many claim. In fact, it is not even a science at all, but an arbitrary system built upon faith in universal naturalism. Actually, these negative evidences against evolution are at the same time strong positive evidence for special creation. They are, in fact, specific predictions based on a creation model of origins. Creationists would obviously predict that ubiquitous gaps between created kinds, though with many varieties capable of arising within each kind, in order to enable each and basic kind of cope with changing environments without becoming extinct. Creationists also
Go ahead, finish your sentence. Finish your sentence. You can finish your sentence.
Good. Okay, yeah, no, you're good.
Okay, good job, everybody. Both the debaters, this is close in the polls. I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next round. Steve Caballero, when you're ready, let me know. I'll share your PowerPoint.
Yeah, you can put up my PowerPoint, please. Thank you so much. So seemingly what my opponent is doing. Yeah, okay. What my opponent is doing is just reading from information off of the internet. And I don't think he even understands what he's reading. And I know he doesn't understand what he's reading because he's just rambling and he's not making any sense. Other than that, he didn't write anything himself. So meaning that he doesn't understand the science himself in order to explain it to the audience so the audience can understand what he's talking about. So I don't know, maybe he's attempting to teach, but if he is attempting to teach, maybe go teach in Oxford or some PhD level class or whatever, because ultimately, in my mind, you're not making much sense. I am saying that evolution is a slow, gradual change over time, that all things change slowly over time. It depends on the rate at which it change. So if you're talking about so some things change more slowly than others. And then I'll get down to the different evolution and then revolution. But right now, moving forward in my presentation, and it would have been great if my opponent would have written some of the slides himself and spent some time to prepare. So topic 2, natural selection and how it contributes to slow, gradual change over time, evolution of organisms, which is not fake. Natural selection is not fake. Even though it was coined by Charles Darwin didn't invent natural selection. Natural selection was occurring for thousands and millions of years before Charles Darwin. He just phrased it in such a way that Europeans or academicians could speak a common language. So what is natural selection? Natural selection. In natural selection, nature decides, and nature has been around for billions of years. Nature decides or is the selecting agent as to which organisms will survive or die based on its ability to adapt or evolve with a changing environment. Those that survive will mate and pass on that adaptive trait and ability to their offspring, which may result in variations within the population of that one specific species. So to say organisms don't mate, so organisms don't mate and pass on genetic information so that they can adapt and evolve to a changing environment, that is totally ridiculous to say that that doesn't happen. It has to happen. These organisms that don't have that adaptive trait and cannot change or evolve as the environment changes will die and not pass on the non-adaptive trait. If all members of that population die, then the species becomes extinct. Oh, okay. well, maybe some folks need to become extinct as well because they're not making much sense. So in natural selection, for example, there you see a graphic of the giraffe. The giraffe did not evolve or develop a long neck because it kept stretching to reach the leaves on high up in the branches. It's tied back to mutation again. So within the population of giraffe, you had giraffes that had different characteristics, some of them with slightly longer necks. So the ones with the longer necks were able to reach the leaves higher up in the trees, and then the ones with that characteristics, those are the ones that mated and passed on that gene with a longer neck to reach higher up in the tree. And the ones that didn't have that gene and couldn't reach high up in the tree, they didn't mate and they didn't pass on that gene. That is natural selection, and it's a natural process that enables organisms to adapt or evolve with a changing environment. And to say that does not happen, that is total madness. Maybe I need to get drunk and I need to get sauced and I need to start rambling and I need to start carrying on and produce no evidence whatsoever. And other than that, don't know what the hell I'm talking about. Artificial selection. In artificial selection, it's not nature that's the selecting agent. It is humans that's the selecting agent, right? So one example of artificial selection is selective breeding and gene manipulation, right? Selective breeding, and to tell me, oh my God, that wolves aren't around today, that, oh, there aren't different breeds of dogs today, that there's no indication, there's no genetic evidence or physical evidence that all the breeds of dogs today evolved or came from the wolf as humans selectively bred the wolf into the dog. Right? Humans in artificial selection involves humans who are the selecting agents. Generally, artificial selection is for the benefit of modern humans, Homo sapiens sapiens. So I am using natural selection and artificial selection to support evolution, slow, gradual change over time. Computers have evolved. They have changed slowly over time. In the past, we didn't have cell phones. This is a computer. You're going to tell me in the 1950s we had cell phones? So the technology changed slowly over time. It evolved. And to say there's no evidence of that, well, I know that there's evidence of that. Maybe I need a drink, or maybe I need to get saucy. Maybe I need to get smacked and try to present. But topic two, evolution, natural selection, selective breeding, slower change, and gene manipulation, rapid change are not fake, right? Evolution, slow, gradual change over time. Natural selection. In natural selection, nature decides, and selective breeding, humans decide which traits will be passed on, but both are still slower changes. And I'm quite sure the audience understands what I'm saying, because clearly I know, well, I can't say clearly, I know what I'm talking about. I'm not rambling. I didn't just pull down stuff off of the internet and just spit off, talk about doctor this and this one, that. I know what I'm talking about, right? So in natural selection, one example of artificial selection is selectively breeding the wolf into the different breeds of dogs. Now, in Africa, you still have wild dogs. In Australia, you still have wild dogs. But what happened is that, so humans took the wolf. There's certain wolves that genetically they're more docile, right? We took them in and we domesticated them and we started to breed them. And we bred them for particular traits, right? So we bred them to produce the sheepdog to help us with farming. We helped or herding sheep. We bred them to help us do our work. But then because of technology, machines, we don't use animals that much anymore to help us with our work. We now breed dogs, or we, through the process of artificial selection, we selectively breed dogs to be pets, to bring us comfort because they look nice, they're cute, and so on and so forth. So today, dogs aren't used that much to help us with our work. Then you have a revolution, which is a more rapid change as compared to an evolution, right? So you have evolution, which is natural selection, which is a slower change. You have artificial selection, which involves humans, which is it isn't as slow as natural selection, which is only nature. But then you have artificial selection. One example of artificial selection, because it involves humans, is a selective breeding, which is also a slower change. And then now today we have also revolutionary changes because it occurs in one generation through gene manipulation, right? Examples of gene manipulation is, so say for example, today we have genetically modified foods such as GMOs, right? Where we produce corn, we take a gene from a soil bacteria and insert it into corn so that the corn produces a toxin. When the corn burrow caterpillar eats the corn, the caterpillar dies, instead of spraying all of these pesticides on corn. So you're going to say that genetically modifying food, producing GMOs, has nothing to do with evolution or revolution. I'm saying that is revolutionarily. That is revolution. It's occurring very rapidly, and it involves gene manipulation. Moving on. Okay, topic 2. The evolution and selection of the sickle cell trait and disease are not fake. All right, so to evolve, mutations naturally occurred in Black Africans. So mutations are natural. They just occurred. They just occur. And sometimes they allow an organism to better adapt to a changing environment. See, it's all about changing environment, because if you can't adapt to changes in the environment, what will happen? You will die. This is a fact, right? So to evolve, mutations naturally occurred in Black Africans, resulting in people with the sickle cell trait, which makes them immune to malaria. As we should all know, right? I should think that most of us are Black, that those with the sickle, well, you may not know, those with the trait, they're immune to malaria. And that might explain why the gene for sickle cell trait evolved or survived for such a long period of time, because those people with the trait in a malaria-prone environment, they would not die from malaria. They have an immunity against malaria. When the plasmodium, the malaria plasmodium will go into their cells will then sickle, and then the plasmodium would not survive. It would die. So the people with the sickle cell trait have natural immunity against malaria. So this here I'm talking about is a type of natural selection or a type of evolution where the people with the sickle cell trait were able to survive and mate and then pass on that gene. But when two people or two carriers with the sickle cell trait, when they would mate, their children, 1 in 4 of their children would develop sickle cell disease, where most of their blood cells have that sickle shape. And what would happen to the blood cells with the sickle shape? They would then clog in the arteries and cause joint pain. And people with sickle cell disease, sometimes they have jaundiced eyes, or they would have severe joint pain and body aches, and they would go into crisis and have to go into the hospital and get blood transfusions and also take morphine. So what I'm saying is, in terms of evolution, that there was a natural mutation where the sickle cell trait evolved or developed, and it was favorable, meaning that nature selected those people to survive because they weren't dying from malaria. Then those people would mate and produce children that 1 in 4 of them would have sickle cell disease. And now they were selected against, because now they would possibly die. But the ones with the trait, they were selected in favor of. So here we're seeing natural selection and evolution at work. And evidence of that is available today, because we still have people who have sickle cell traits, and we also have people who have sickle cell disease. Now, that's an evolution, a slow gradual change over time. The revolution is or artificial selection. In this case here is gene manipulation. So what are we able to do with the technology? It's revolutionary. It's revolutionarily. So instead of waiting all of this time, hundreds of years, generations and generations for mutations to occur, we now go in and we make the mutations. So we have technology called CRISPR, where we take the stem cells and we alter the DNA in the stem cells, and then we fix the gene so that it's not producing sickle red blood cells anymore. Stem cells are base cells. They're fundamental cells, right? So we go in and we alter the stem cells, place them back into the human, and then now the human no longer produces red blood cells that are sickled. What I can say is that, I mean, I know that I've made it clear to many members of the audience, as well as those on the panel and those who are going to be critiquing my presentation. But the point that I'm stressing here is that evolution is a slow, gradual change over time, and biological life changes slowly over time. Most things change slowly over time, and if things don't change over time, then they remain static, and that's not beneficial. Nepal, where are you? I'm not seeing you. I know I have 1 minute left. Nepal. Yeah, I know I have about 37 seconds left because I have my own timer.
All right, I was disconnected. I was trying to, okay. Yeah, 30 seconds. Yes, sorry about that.
Yeah, so there you go, Nepal. Thank you. So clicking through my slides, I mentioned natural selection and artificial selection. Natural selection is evolutionary in the sense that natural selection is a slower change. Artificial selection, selective breeding, is a slower change. Then there's gene manipulation, which is a type of artificial selection. It's a more rapid change. You have the selective breeding of dogs. You have the gene manipulation to produce genetically modified corn. And now today we also have CRISPR. Thank you so much.
Time, thank you. All right, moving right on to you when you're ready. Let me take down his. Get Silky's back up. Okay, you let me know. Is this what you want up right now, Silky?
Yeah, I think the first word, Tom should say nevertheless.
Oh, wow, let me see.
The first word and the first source.
I see fossils discovered. Let's see, you're on 4 maybe? Yes.
I'm on 4.
Okay. Okay, let me get that up there for you. And you see that nevertheless? Your time will start when I leave.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so let's get into it, man. Boy, you a piece of work. So you bring up gene manipulation as proof of your evolution when you're going out your way to manipulate it. That's not even done naturally, that you're supposed to be supporting your stance. And then you got sickle cell. And what else you got? Immune to malaria. And then you talking about a revolution. And then you talking about altering cells for the sickle. Right? And then you talking about a slow change. Still not one lick of evidence. You haven't shown not one piece of evidence to support anything you're saying. Are you aware of that? And you got nerve to talk to me like you doing something when you haven't shown not one fact proving Nathan, Nautica, Nathaniel, Napoleon. You haven't showed us Nathan, but you got nerve to sit in my face. And boy, you know what? I would, but yeah, man, we need some evidence out of you, bro. You start saying, matter of fact, while I'm at it, are you on, how many slides you show? 1, 2, 3 sources? Barely? I'm on 13. You only at 3, you still ain't showed us nothing. Go get them that evidence, bro. Don't come back here without no, at 3rd round, you better have some evidence. I want to see fossils transitioning. If it ain't nothing I don't want to see no GMOs. That ain't natural. That ain't evolution. That's y'all creating something in the lab. That ain't done naturally. Well, y'all cats is out of chain. Yeah, let's get up into it, man. Silky D, man. Yeah, we on it now. Yeah, I'm nasty with this work. I know. Yeah, I hit real hard. Nevertheless, evolutionists having largely become disenchanted with the fossil record as a witness for evolution because of ubiquitous gaps where there should be transitions, recently have been promoting DNA and other genetic evidence as proof of evolution. However, as noted above by Roger Lewin, this is often inconsistent with not only the fossil record, but also with the comparative morphology of the creatures. You know what I just told y'all? Your DNA don't match your fossil time, and your fossil time don't match your morphology time. Man, I'm good. Yeah, don't, boy. You know, you really dead, bro. You been dead actually already. Like I'm already like 13 swords in you, in your heart already. Yeah, I'm nasty with this. Yeah, man. So let's bring that back. However, it is noted above already, and I'm dropping nothing but scholars for you too. Talking about I'm reading off of you ain't type. What? Yeah, these sources. Deal with these sources. Go get your evidence. However, as noted above by Roger Lewin, this is often inconsistent, not only the fossil record, but also with the comparative morphology of the creatures. Lewin also mentions just a few typical contradictions yielded by this type of evidence in relation to more traditional Darwinian proofs. Contradictions on top of contradiction on top of contradictions, bad mathematics. Your DNA don't match, your fossils don't match, and your morphology, and none of that's matching up, and then you ain't got no origins. How many red goddamn strikes you need? The elephant shrew consigned by traditional analysts to order insectivores is in fact more closely related to the true elephant. Cows are more closely related to dolphins than they are to horses. The duck-billed platypus is on an equal evolutionary footing with kangaroos and koalas. Charts all over the place. DNA all over the place. Fossils all over the place. Don't none of it line up or match up. Yeah, I bet you didn't check that one, did you? You bet you forgot it. Yeah, you missed that. There are many even more bizarre comparisons yielded by this approach. The abundance of so-called junk DNA in the genetic code also has been offered as a special type of evidence for evolution. The most frequent cited examples of DNA commonality is a human-chimpanzee similarity, noting that chimpanzees have more than 90% of their DNA the same as humans. This is hardly surprising. However, considering the many physiological resemblance between people and chimpanzees, why shouldn't there have similar DNA structures in comparison? Say to the DNA differences between men and spiders. Similarities whether of DNA, anatomy, embryonic development, as what you tried to bring up earlier, or anything else, are better explained in terms of creation by the common designer than by evolutionary relationships. Design. All that stuff you're talking about has to go in order. It has to be a design. You can't even have one without the other, so whatever's in there is the design. It's designed to do that. That's what it's going to do. Well, I'll tell you, man, this cat right here. The great differences between organisms are greater significant than the similarities. And evolutionists have no explanation for these if they all are assumed to have had the same ancestor. How could these great gaps between kinds ever arise at all by any natural process? The apparently small differences between humans and chimpanzees' DNA obviously produce very great differences in their respective anatomies. Very great differences in their respective anatomies. Very, very great differences. Oh, yeah, get that through your head, Mr. Smart Guy. Apparently, yeah, boy, I try to. The apparent small difference between humans and chimpanzees' DNA obviously produce very great differences in their respective anatomies, intelligence, etc. The superficial similarities between all apes and humans being are nothing compared to the differences in any practical or observable sense. Make it make sense. Different. They ain't nothing not like us. The abundance of so-called, let me see it does. Yeah, let's get it. The abundance of so-called junk DNA in the genetic code also has been offered as a special type of evidence for evolution. Genes that have experienced mutations, sometimes called pseudogenes. However, the evidence is accumulating rapidly today that these supposedly useless genes do actually perform useful functions. Enough genes have already been uncovered in the genetic medium to show that what was once thought to be waste is definitely being transmitted into scientific code. It is thus wrong to decide that junk DNA, even the so-called pseudogenes, have no function. That is merely an admission of ignorance and an object to fruitful research, like the so-called vestigial organs. Yeah, back to that you brought up. In man, once considered as evidence of evolution, but now all known to have specific uses. So the junk DNA and pseudogenes most probably are specifically useful to the organism, whether or not those uses have yet been discovered by scientists. Going to the next slide, Nepal. At the very best, this type of evidence is strictly circumstantial and can be explained just as well in terms of permeable creation, supplemented in some cases by later deterioration, just as expected in the creation model. The real issue is, as noted before, whether there is any observable evidence that evolution is occurring now or has ever occurred in the past. As we have seen, even evolutionists have to acknowledge that this type of real scientific evidence for evolution does not exist. 2 rounds, you ain't showed not one fossil, not one lineup, no, show us the transitions. Show us the classify that this is the transition. And we need all of them lined out. Go get them sources. A good question to ask, why are all the observable evolutionary changes either horizontal or trivial, so-called microevolution, or downward toward deterioration and extinction? The answer seems to be found in the universally applicable laws of science of thermodynamics. Let's get into it. Evolution can never happen at all. The main scientific reason why there is no evidence for evolution in either the present or the past, except the creative imagination of evolutionary scientists. Yeah, in y'all's imagination, because you ain't got not one look at evidence. You ain't got no proof. Definitely in your imagination. Evolution can never happen at all. Listen more I try to tell you. All right, let's get it. The law of increasing entropy, also known as the second law of thermodynamics, stipulates that all systems in the real world tend to go downhill, as it were, toward disorganization and decreased complexity. As in, you're not gonna live forever. Things gonna deteriorate, they're gonna break down, they're gonna get old, they're gonna die out, duh. But you claim it's gonna evolve. Well, then prove it. Boys, they making up stuff. This law of entropy is by any measure one of the most universal, best proved laws of nature. It applies not only to physical and chemical systems, but also in biological and geological systems. In fact, in all systems without exception. No exception to the second law of thermodynamics has ever been found, not even a tiny one, like the conservation of energy. The first law. The existence of a law so precise and so independent of details of models must have a logical foundation that is independent of the fact that matter is composed of interacting particles. Well, I'll tell you. The author's this quote is referring primarily to physics, but he does point out that the second law is independent of details of models. Besides, practically all evolutionary biologists are reductionists. That is, they insist that there are no vitalist forces in living systems, and that all biological processes are explicable in terms of physics and chemistry. That being the case, biological process also most appropriate in accordance with the laws of thermodynamics, and practically all biologists acknowledge this. Evolutionists commonly insist, however, that evolution is a fact anyhow, and that the conflict is resolved by noting that the Earth is an open system, with the incoming energy from the sun able to sustain evolution throughout the geological ages, in spite of the natural tendencies of all systems tend to deteriorate toward disorganization. Stars don't last forever, right? Things deteriorate. But what you claim is evolving to live longer, right? Well, make it make sense. Which is it? Is it gonna die? Is it gonna live longer? Because the harsh environment is supposed to make it like evolve and adapt and live longer, mutate and live longer, right? Well, y'all all over the place with this mess. Let me see. Well, yeah. That is how an evolutionary entomologist has dismissed W.A. Dembski's impressive recent book, Intelligent Design. The scientist defends what he thinks is natural process ability to increase complexity by noting what he calls a flaw in the arguments against evolution based on the second law of thermodynamics. And what is this flaw? That part. Let me get back. All right. The naive response to the entropy law is typically the evolutionary dissimulation. Yeah, dissimulation. There we go. While it is true and local order can increase in an open system if certain conditions are met, the fact is that evolution does not meet those conditions. Simply saying that the Earth is an open energy from the sun says nothing about how the raw solar heat is converted into increased complexity in any system, open or closed. The fact is that the best known and most fundamental equation of thermodynamics says that the influx of heat into an open system will increase the entropy of the system, not decrease it. All known cases of decreased entropy are increased organizations. And open systems involve a guiding program of some sort and one or more energy conversion mechanisms working in harmony. Let's keep going. Going to the next one, Naval. Evolution has neither of these. Mutations are not organizing mechanisms, but disorganizing. In accord with the second law, they are commonly harmful, sometimes neutral, but never beneficial. Where's your beneficial evolving at? Well, because everything's dying off, so make it make sense. Natural selection cannot generate order, but can only slave out the disorganizing mutations presented to it, thereby conserving the existing order, but never generating new order. In principle, it may be barely conceivable that evolution could occur in any open system, in spite of the tendencies of all the systems to disintegrate sooner or later. But no one yet has been able to show that it actually has the ability to overcome this universal tendency, and that it is the basic reason why there is still no bona fide proof of evolution, past or present. Well, y'all, man, y'all already know not to mess with me. From the statements of the evolutionists themselves, therefore, we have learned that there's no real scientific evidence for real evolution. The only observable evidence is that of very limited horizontal or downward changes with strict limits. Yeah, I'm about to bring in, these are about quotes from your own folks. The fact is evolution believe in evolution because they want to. It is their desire at all costs to explain the origin of everything without a creator. Evolutionism is thus intrinsically an atheistic religion. Some may prefer to call it humanism and a new age. Evolutionists place it in the context of some form of pantheism, but they all amount to the same thing, whether atheism or humanism. The purpose is to eliminate a personal God from any active role in the origin of the universe and all its components, including. Yeah, because y'all ain't never got no origin. Y'all ain't, y'all just skip that. The core humanistic. This time? All right.
All right. Whew, that was a lot of information. I found that very interesting, both rounds. I don't know about y'all in the audience. I know the poll is still up. We're going to take that poll down. We're going into the third and final round. We're going to take that poll down during the third round, and then we'll put up the last round, the last poll, and ask you who actually won. The poll up right now is just asking who you think is winning. So we'll put up a new poll asking you who you think won at the end of the debate. We're going into the third round. As I said, if you are ready, Mr. Caballero, let me take down Silky's.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, your time starts. Let me put up your PowerPoint. Let's get your PowerPoint up. You see it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, time starts now.
Okay. I don't think that my opponent, even he knows what he's talking about. I mean, I know he doesn't know what he's talking about because he's all over the place. And you're asking me, where's my evidence? I'll ask you, where's your evidence of what you're talking about? Thermodynamics, entropy, physics, and all kind of. You clearly do not know what you're talking about. What you did was that you went on the internet and you found all of this different information that you cannot explain in your own words because you don't know what you're talking about. And it's clear you don't know what you're talking about. But if you would distill it down to the audience so that you can make it plain, as Malcolm X said, make it plain. So make it plain to a 3-year-old, a 5-year-old, an elementary school student, so that, those of us who don't have PhDs can understand what you're talking about. Because I know that you don't have a PhD and you don't understand what you're talking about. Also, maybe learn how to articulate, maybe know how to pronunciate and be more clear in what you're saying. But I know you didn't prepare. All you did was throw together a bunch of slides that you think are related and you think that are going to disprove evolution, but it really doesn't. In terms of a slow, gradual change over time, that things change slowly over time. Topic 3. How can all aspects of evolution be fake, but only real, accurate, and applicable when used in taxonomy to classify organisms? Well, initially, that's what my opponent was saying, that evolution is only real when it's used in taxonomy. But in order to assist my opponent a little bit, and also to possibly teach a little bit, if I'm allowed, maybe I can teach. Maybe I can teach to an elementary school student, a middle school student, a high school student, maybe even a biology class, maybe, a Bio 101 or Bio 2 or AP Bio, right? But anyway, when we're talking about taxonomy, notice I'm not talking about entropy and enthalpy and thermodynamics or chemistry. I'm keeping it to evolution and slow gradual change over time and taxonomy, right? So when we're talking about taxonomy, we're talking about how organisms are classified and how the fossil record is used to classify these organisms. How embryology, the evidence found in embryology, is also used to classify organisms. So to say organisms ain't classified, that is clearly not true. Organisms are classified today based on their kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, and species, right? But the genus and species, Homo sapiens sapiens, right? So biologists classified organisms based on appearance, structure, breeding patterns, and similar DNA. One definition of a species, the narrowest or more confined classification, is that if two organisms can mate, in talking about breeding patterns, and produce viable offspring that themselves can reproduce, then they are members of the same species. Today, genetic testing is also used to rectify the science of taxonomy by further grouping organisms within relationship. One second. By further, yes. So in the past, before the genetic evidence, some mistakes were made, right? When we were only using physical characteristics or appearance and the fossil record, taxonomy was accurate, but now it's being refined based on the DNA evidence, right? And all of this, so taxonomy, to group organisms within a kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, and species, is now being refined based on the genetic evidence to show that evolution is real, that a slow gradual change over time is very real. So we know that there are 5 kingdoms. The 5 kingdoms are Monera, which were the simplest and one of the first organisms to appear on the planet Earth based on fossilized remains, based on the fossil, based on the and also the genetic evidence. They have the most simplest form of DNA. So you have Monera, Protista, fungi, plantae, and animalia. So Protista are simple single cell organisms, like single cell animals. Then you have fungus, like for example mushrooms are fungus. You have plantae, which carry out photosynthesis, and then you have animalia. The suggestion is that in terms of the geologic timeline, and others, the stages, sometimes people even, I don't even want to, but sometimes people talk about, well, forget about it. I don't want to say that word. But apparently the series, the sequence is how some organisms also appear in the geologic timeline. Okay, so taxonomy is real. How organisms are classified. The fossil record is used. And also, as we say, the appearance of organisms is used. The macroscopic appearance, how they use with the physical appearance was used to classify these organisms. Okay, topic 3, evolution. Evolution is not fake, and structure, breeding patterns, and DNA, genetic material, are used to classify organisms. So we know, not we know, but there's something called homologous structures. What are homologous structures? Are anatomical features in different species that share a common evolutionary origin, recent common ancestor, even if their functions are different. So, for example, homologous structures. Here we are talking about structure that helps to classify organisms or is used to classify organisms. So, homologous structure. For example, in the human, you have bones in the human arm, such as the humerus, the radius, the ulnar, the carpals, the metacarpals, and the phalanges, right? Those are bones in the human arm. Then you have a cat. In a cat's paw, you also have those same bones, even though a cat's paw is for the cat to walk. In the horse, which is the horse legs, you also have those same bones. In the bat, in the bat's wings, you also have those same bones. The humerus, the radius, the ulnar, the carpals, the metacarpals, and the phalanges. But also understand that I can pronounce these words. In the dolphin's flipper, you have the same bones. So these are what we call homologous structures, are anatomical features in different species that share a common ancestry. What this suggests is that they have a common ancestor somewhere in the distant past. This is what it suggests. And this is the model that I'm presenting. I question you, what model are you presenting that contradicts what I am suggesting? You don't have a model. Then you have an analogous structures, body parts in different species that have similar functions but did not arise from a common ancestor. They result from convergent evolution, meaning environmental factors or stresses cause these different organisms, such as geese, which are birds, butterflies, which are insects, and bats, which are mammals, to develop or evolve wings as opposed to having a common ancestor. Their wings have a shared function to escape predators, migrate, search for food, and mates, but are anatomically, structurally dissimilar. So with the analogous structures, they are saying that they evolved under different environmental conditions. There is no common ancestor, or their common ancestor is even further back in the geologic timeline, but they evolved similar structures that have no less anatomical similarities, but they have the same function. So there, in terms of structure, you have homologous structures and analogous structures, which are evidence of evolution. And to say you cannot see it, you cannot observe it, that's not true. You can look at these organisms. You can look at birds, bats, geese, butterflies. They're all around today. All you have to do and to say that I'm not providing any evidence. I got a cat right now. What you want me to do? Put the cat up on the screen? What you want me to do? Put plants up on the screen? Like what are you saying? I'm not. You're the one that's not providing any evidence, and you're the one who's rambling, and you're the one who doesn't know what they're talking about. Topic 3. Modern humans, Homo sapiens sapien, evolution is not fake, right? Again, using the fossil record, there are fossils, right? You can go and we can find these fossils. This is what it suggests, right? Also DNA evidence. Homo sapiens is the species name for anatomically modern humans and their closely related ancestral populations. Within the species, Homo sapiens sapiens specifically refers to the fully anatomically modern human, which are the only surviving subspecies today in the hierarchical classification. So the hierarchical classification, you have the genus, which I mentioned in taxonomy. So you have the genus Homo, and then you have the species. The species is sapien. So yes. And the subspecies, we are a subspecies of Homo sapien. That's why we're called Homo sapiens sapiens, because we are the only existing Homo sapiens today, right? Sometimes scientists historically distinguished Homo sapiens, meaning in this case here Neanderthalis or Neanderthals, as another subspecies of H sapiens. Though they are extinct, in this context, H sapien or Homo sapiens sapiens represents humans that originated in Africa roughly 3,000 years ago and spread worldwide, replacing or interbreeding with other Homo populations. So how do we know this? Because we have skulls. Now, I don't have a human skull here. I don't have a skull that's 290,000 years old from one of the original humans in North Africa. I don't have that. But to say that it doesn't exist is ludicrous. Similarly, you're on the computer. You're pulling evidence off of the computer, but when you do it, it's acceptable, right? But when I talk about things that are common knowledge or things that are accessible on the computer, I have no evidence. You're the one who don't have any evidence, and you don't know what you're talking about. Taxonomy is used to classify humans. So how can modern humans, Homo sapiens sapiens, evolution be fake? If the science of taxonomy is real, acceptable, and appropriate, the evidence also suggests that modern human evolution, the modern human evolutionary model, is accurate. And my opponent has no model. He has presented the audience with no model whatsoever because my opponent has no model, right? All he's attempting to do is to debunk models that already exist and is readily accepted. But other than that, I am saying that evolution is a slow, gradual change over time. I'm also saying that most things change slowly over time. And it's to that, if we're talking about biological life, it's to the advantage of that organism to change slowly over time and adapt. We can talk about COVID. That we know it took around 10 years for that virus to mutate into that form that caused a whole lot of people to die. Then the vaccine was produced through gene manipulation, which is a type of artificial selection, which was revolutionary because it caused herd immunity in the majority of the human population and to slow or stop the process of humans dying from a virus that mutated within a 10-year period or evolved through a 10-year period. Getting back to human evolution, what the evidence suggests, and I'm presenting you with models. I'm not even presenting you with a theory. I am presenting you with models, right? So what the model of human evolution talks about the genus Homo. So for example, we have Homo neanderthalis, Homo heidelbergensis, Homo erectus, Homo nadali. So the evidence suggests that the organisms within the genus Homo was able to interbreed. And through that process of interbreeding and adapting to the environment, then we, Homo sapiens sapien, emerged. And we're the most evolved, right? We're the most adapted to survive in this environmental condition. Then some of our older cousins, our older ancestors, for example, Australopithecus. Australopithecus, Lucy is an upright walking ape. She was not a modern human, right? Lucy goes back to about 1 million years ago. We only go back, even today with the new fossils that they're finding, we modern humans only go back to about 290,000 years, right? So I am presenting you with evidence, and I am saying that evolution is not fake. A slow gradual change over time is not fake. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. All right, so now we will move right on to Silky D's final round. You know, let me know where you want to start, what number slide, and I will remove myself and start your 15 minutes. What number slide do you want to start at, Mr. D?
It'll say the author is Frank. Is the first couple words on the first on that slide.
Okay, let's see here. The author is Frank.
Yeah, the first slide should say the author
There
is Frank.
it is. Okay. All right. So you have 15 minutes. I'll be back in 14. Your time starts when I'm removing myself.
All right. Wow. So you say that taxonomy, the evolution is used for taxonomy and classification. You could have just said that a long time ago and saved us all a bunch of trouble. That's you basically yielding. You basically just saying that it ain't nothing but classification. They just trying to put a name on something. Wow, whoop-de-doo. Like, that's what you're going to say evolution is. Yeah, that's checkmate, bro. And then let me see, two origins can mate, right? That's another thing you said. Two organisms can mate, right? So you're saying, can you go mate with an ape? Since you come from the ape, can you go mate with an ape? I don't think so. Since you got so many chromosomes and you got so much DNA and all this other stuff linked to the ape, can you go mate with that? You derive from it. So how you can't? Does that make any sense? You was a one-off split by yourself. I don't know who you made it with. I guess you made it with yourself. You know, you was a one-off split. But then again, that's y'all evolutionary people. So yeah, man, still no evidence. Let's see what else you said that was absurd. I need a model. So you're telling me I need a better model for your little evolutionary claim with no evidence that you've shown? Not one piece of lick of fossils, nothing. You haven't shown nothing, no transitional fossils. Where are they at? And then you taking 45 minutes on 4 slides? Like, that's crazy work, bro. And then you got nerve to say I'm out there rambling. And then you went to the COVID. The COVID. You falling for the COVID. It's still the COVID, right? Regardless, whichever verse, it's still the COVID. So I guess it would be in the COVID family. Like your cousin, like you ain't got family members? Like it ain't part of a tree? COVID's still COVID. It ain't turning into no new nothing. It's still COVID. So you ain't even saying nothing with that. Don't waste my time bringing that stuff up. Well, let me go ahead and get up into this. Boy, yeah, you getting this work, boy, for real. Mean hands. And the thermodynamics, and when you go into the law about thermodynamics, is about how things die. Y'all need to, because nothing lives forever. Things die out, y'all. Okay, think about it. The author is Frank Statement. The author of this Frank Statement is Richard Lewin of Harvard. Since evolution is not a laboratory science, there is no way to test its validity. Since you can't test it in the laboratory, you can't. How are you going to test in the laboratory when you're not in a natural ecosystem, Mr. Evolution? Mr. Things evolve for survival on the earth and all this stuff. Well, you doing that test in the lab? How does that work? More lies out you evolutionary. But this is the type of stuff y'all stand on. You got nerve to bring this in front of me. Well, I tell you, y'all gonna get enough. Y'all gonna learn. Since evolution is not a laboratory science, there is no way to test its validity. So all sorts of just those stories are contrived to adorn the textbooks, but that doesn't make them true. And evolutionist reviewing a recent book by another, but more critical evolutionist says, we cannot identify ancestors or missing links, and we cannot devise the testable theories to explain how particular episodes of evolution came about. G is adamant that all of the popular stories about how the first amphibians conquered the dry land, how the birds developed wings and feathers for flying, how the dinosaurs went extinct, and how humans evolved from apes are just products of our imagination. Yeah, real big imagination, right? Y'all heard that whole statement, and that's evolution. This is what they stand on. Fishes, the birds, all this supposedly evolved. Yeah, all bunch of imagination stories with not one lick of evidence. You ain't got no direct evidence. You ain't got no real evidence. You ain't got no abundance of evidence. Where's it? You studied everything in Antarctica? You went up under the ice and you went and checked out all the fossils over there? You did that? You went and lifted all the ice and checked out everything under there? I don't think so. But you steady over here lying. Mr. Database, fossil record. Boy, you know what I'm saying? Y'all got the nerve. Yeah, well, we cannot identify ancestors or missing links, and we cannot devise testable theories to explain how peculiar episodes of evolution came about. Gee, the dominant, yeah, y'all heard that, man. Let's keep it moving. A fascinatingly honest admission by a physicist indicates that the passionate commitment establishment scientists to naturalism. And the creationist students courses taught by evolution professor can testify to the frustrating reality of the statement evolution is indeed a pseudoscience. Basis of religion atheism. As Rusa pointed out, Will Provin at Cornell University is another scientist who frankly acknowledges this. I'm bringing you scientists. I'm bringing you all your people saying this is fugazi. It ain't real. It's fraud, phony, fraudulent. I'm the one showing you this. As the creationists claim, belief in modern evolution makes atheists a people. Because you ain't got no origins. You skipped over the origins, right? Did you prove any of that? Did you prove where anything started from? No, you didn't prove none of that. You jump into step 3, step 4. You ain't even go back to 1. You got the nerve to beat up over here, boy. Once again, we emphasize that evolution is not a science. Evolutionists' trades are notwithstanding. It is a philosophical worldview, nothing more. Nothing more. Because you ain't doing nothing but making guesses and imagination. Evolution must, they feel, explain everything. A theory that explains everything might just as well be discarded since it has no real explanatory value. Of course, the other thing about evolution is that anything can be said because very little can be disproved. Experimental evidence is minimal. Even that statement is too generous because you ain't proved nothing. You ain't been in them a repeating. It's a long process, but ain't showed nothing. Y'all don't never show nothing. Claim you got all this evidence. Don't never prove nothing. Don't never show us an abundance of evidence. You show 4 slides in 45 minutes. Boy, stop playing with me. Yeah, boy, yeah. Of course, the other thing about evolution is that anything can be said in that part. Even that statement is too generous. Actual experiment evidence demonstrating true evolution, that is macroevolution, is not minimal. It is non-existent. The concept of evolution as a form of religion is not new. In the book, The Long War Against God, I documented that fact that some form of evolution has been a pseudo-rationale behind every anti-creationist religion since the very beginning of history. Yeah, go to the next slide, Nepal. Yeah, there goes some references over there, you know what I'm saying? Y'all make sure to check them references out, you know what I'm saying? You know I got them references for y'all. You know we need that. Let's get into it. Yeah, already. Darwin considered this theory. So now I'm going to tell you what Darwin said about his own theory. I'm going to let you know the truth, the real about what he's saying about his own work. Darwin considered his theory grievously hypothetical at times and privately admitted to having doubts, particularly concerning complex adaptations like the human eye. Yeah, how complex is the human eye? Are you going to show me how that evolved? I don't think so. He acknowledged the crowd of difficulties and that the eye to this day gives me a cold shoulder, but ultimately believed that the theory of natural selection was the best explanation for a vast array of facts in nature, even if some problems seemed insurmountable. That part. Darwin openly discussed the challenges and difficulties of his theory in the origin of species, even while ultimately defending it. He admitted some were so serious that they staggered him, though he believed most of them were only apparent and not fatal to the theory. Yeah, there you go, boy, Darwin. This is what y'all believe in. Doubt over the complex. He expressed specific doubts about how highly complex organs, such as the eye, could have evolved through a gradual natural selection. In a letter to Asa Gray, he confessed to the eye to this day gives me the cold shoulder. He's just thinking about the eye. The eye alone is so complex, but you're trying to say it evolved. It just magically evolved, right? Yeah, make it make sense. Just get on your whales for a hot second. So you claim the whales lost their legs as an evolutionary adaptation to the fully aquatic lifestyle, driven by natural selection, favoring more streamlined bodies and genetic shift and stopped hind limb development. Over a million years. Whales' ancestors were land mammals, but they began to spend more time in the water to access food resources. So the land animals said they was going fishing, really. And they was going to get, yeah, oh yeah, that's what they doing? All right, we're going to get back to that. Let's get back on your boy Darwin, though. So Charles Darwin acknowledged that the word of that there were a crowd of difficulties with his theory, and stated some of them are so serious that that to this day I can hardly reflect on them without being in some degree staggered. But to the best of my judgment, the greater number are only apparent, and those that are real are not. I think that's a quote from your own guy. From your evolution, from your man, the one that's giving y'all evolution. I'm proving to y'all, showing y'all, he even said it's fake. He even said it ain't complete. He even said it's far-fetched. And y'all got nerve to bite on this stuff. Boy, y'all got to be smarter than that. According to the story, let's get back to the whales, though. According to the story, whales evolved from a four-legged land-dwelling mammal that lived 50 to 55 million years ago. An obvious question is, why wouldn't it be theorized that whales evolved from fish? Say a shark. After all, whales look much more like sharks than creatures that lived on land, such as wolves or small hippos. Furthermore, fish dwell in the same environment as whales, water. Whales, however, are mammals, and evolutionists do not believe that mammals could have evolved from fish. Simply put, whales, they believe, must have evolved from such creatures because whales are mammals, and because prior to the evolution of the catechins, marine dwelling mammals, all mammals supposedly lived on land and had four limbs. So y'all telling me the blue whale used to be a dog, right? You know what type of major evolutionary, that's like calling an elephant gonna be anorexic, gonna turn into a skinny freaking deer or something. Like, y'all, boy, the stuff y'all come up with. The identity of the whales on land dwelling or original ancestors have undergone many revisions over the years, and it is size that the appearance has ranged broadly. Of course, no matter what is selected here, is that the whale's earliest ancestors upon a selection as a reason to discount this entire analyst on the basis that the original ancestor was actually something else. As in, y'all keep changing it. You don't know what it originated from because you keep changing it. Did you know that one? I bet you didn't. Next time, study. That part, like, for real, all the way come up with that boy on the bay. Yeah, that part. It would be a red herring, and it can be refuted by pointing out the number of changes that evolutionists themselves have made in the identity of this creature. Y'all killing yourselves because y'all keep changing up stuff because y'all can't never figure it out because you steady making it up with your imagination all the time. Charles Darwin even thought that it may have been a bear. The description below indicates the uncertainty surrounding this creature. It is typically evolutionists thinking about the matter. So the first thing to notice is that the hippos are the closest living relatives of all whales, but they are not the ancestors of whales. In fact, none of the individual animals of the evogram is a direct ancestor of any other. As far as we know, that's why each of them gets its own branch on the family tree. Killing your taxonomy. Hippos are large and aquatic like whales, but the two groups evolved those features separately from each other. We know this is because an ancient relative of hippos called the anthropods, not shown here, were not large or aquatic, nor were the ancient relatives of the whales that you see in the pic capture on this tree. Yeah, boy, I tell you, the time to let's keep going. Going to the next one, Nepal. I got to get all these out. All right, evolution states that the entire evolutionary sequence from little adios diving into streams to modern cetines like basalarids took about 8 million years. The widest in 2014, for the sake of discussion, this period would be estimated to be 10 million years. As we had just seen, the identity of the original ancestor is uncertain. In any event, the average lifespan of a wolf is about 10 years, a cow is about 15 to 25 years, a hippo is about 45 years, and a whale is about 40 to 60 years. If it is assumed for discussion purposes that the average lifespan of a creature involved in this process was 30 years, and that the generation of the average age of reproduction was approximately 10 years. I'm trying to tell you, boy. How can something that is completely random and overwhelmingly deleterious producing extraordinarily complex and wonderful physiological features of whales, much of which were completely absent in their original ancestors? So the original ancestor didn't have it, but you're saying the modern one, make it make sense, man. Y'all all over the place with this stuff. In addition to believing that the mutations are overwhelmingly deleterious, creationists also believe that the mutations are essentially random. Surprisingly, evolutionists generally agree with the creationists about these characteristics of mutations. At the same time, however, evolutionists also believe that the mutations are the ultimate source of all genetic variations. There appears to be an obvious contradiction. Selection can only operate on the available genetic variation. It can only do what's in the genetic DNA code to do. You can't do nothing else. So if it's programmed to do that, it'll do that. If not, it won't. That's it. That's how it goes. A cheetah might run faster if it had faster alleles, but if the faster alleles are not in the population from mutation or gene flow, evolution in this direction will not happen. Perhaps a different arrangement of leg muscles and bones would produce cheetahs that run faster. However, the basic body form of mammals is already laid out in their genes and development in such a mutually constrained way that is unlikely to be altered. There really may be no way to get there from here. As in, yeah, that's the setup. That's the blueprint. You ain't even gonna be able to veer off. Where your new species at? We still waiting on that. In contrast to the evidence noted above, the shorter leg proposed for because it must have been a variation that falls outside the variation range. An obvious contradiction here. How can something?
My bad. Time. You actually went 28 minutes, 28 seconds over. So that was my bad. You have to. I'm sorry. You had extra time. Sorry about that, y'all. I'm multitasking. We're going to move into the question and answer round. And we'll give you an extra 28 seconds to ask questions, Steve, because I went over with the brother. Thank you, Silky. Sorry. I didn't get to give you that warning, but there's a lot of information you got here. So, I don't think you were going to get through all of it anyway. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing your slides. And now, if you guys need to take a quick, 1.5, I'll play a song, get a drink of water or bathroom break, or check if you have a cake in the oven or something like that, some pizza, I don't know. You will be able to do that, take a break. And that is when the audience will be able to, I'll summer jam some of your comments and get the poll ready. After the question and answer round, I'm gonna have that poll up and y'all will be able to say who won. And then we're gonna let them do their final closing. And then we're gonna open the panel. So is that okay with you too?
Can I say my summary before the poll? Can I do my summary before the poll?
We'll be able to do that before the poll. If I wasn't clear, the poll is going to be after the entire debate's over. But right now, I'm going to play a song, let you go take a break. You can even turn your cameras off right now if you want, and just as long as the song lasts, so you guys can go take a break. And I'm going to summer jam because I was interacting with the chat a little bit. So go ahead, Steve, do that. Not long, 2 minutes. Let's see what song we need to play here. How about this one?
Oh, you didn't know? This environment tough. 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 Policy scholarship. This is the knowledge you can't get in colleges. If you read from the Bible, obey the commandment and know who your mother and father is. Tune in to Sinetta, cause he the protector of the gods. I'm talking about Dr. Benjamin, Yusuf, Yacanan, and John. Yeah. We got a scale on my art. If he light as a feather, let's go and weigh his heart. I am the shrine of Ptah. If you say I am, better recognize a god. All I see is pseudos and frauds. Kudos to my dogs. Judo for you frogs. I think it's time to hop off the environment tough. Oh, you didn't know? This 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 environment tough.
Will survive. Comedic knowledge on the rise. Raising consciousness divine. To the truth we subscribe. Jabari leading the way. Shaka almost don't play. Sonetta done open the gates. And up and banging the day. It's a family for the culture. Rebuking all you vultures. Tough environment full of soldiers. Unlock your mind, they'll exposure. HOK is the squad. Debating the truth is a nod. Watch where you step in the pod. or the tear you apart.
Oh, you didn't know? This environment tough. 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 Environment tough.
All right. We're back. See, it didn't take long at all. Steve, we're just going to hold off for you. Who's going to start the questions? Steve is, right? Steve is, okay. So we have 2 minutes each. We'll start with Steve, and he will just ask him some questions. You will have a minute to answer his questions. I didn't mention that earlier. You'll have a minute to answer his question, Silky. And once you finish, we'll move on. And then once your 2 minutes is up, your 2 minutes is up. So you get what I'm saying? So even though you have 2 minutes of questions, he has a minute to answer the questions. It's not as complicated as it sounds. Just leave it up to me with the timer. So start your questioning now. I pause your time, your 2 minutes. Then I let him get his minute in. And does that sound good? Ready? We're ready?
Well, I don't know how you're going to answer my questions. I'm going to ask him 2 minutes of questions. He's going to answer my question in one minute. But anyway, my first question is, what is...
You should be able to just, you don't need to answer.
But he can't answer all it. Okay, what is your model of that contradicts...
Are you starting now? You're starting now?
Yes.
Okay.
What is your model that contradicts evolution? Keep answering. Keep asking questions. What is your model that contradicts evolution? What is your evidence?
Oh, okay.
What is your model that contradicts evolution? What is your evidence? What is microevolution? What is macroevolution?
Wait.
How many questions am I asking?
One question at a time.
Okay.
And then he's going to answer.
The one question is, what is your model that contradicts evolution? What is your model that contradicts evolution?
Okay, the fact that you talk about a database when you can't study the fossils in Antarctica, but you're saying everything is connected. You need more?
That contradicts evolution.
Have you studied? Okay, you don't have none of the fossils out there. So how are you able to add that to the fossil record if you haven't done
fossils? I can go to the Museum of Natural
Okay,
History.
hold on. Everybody, stop. If this is how it's going, once you answer the question. If you don't want to take a whole minute, Silky, that's fine. But we move on. You don't. It's not going to work with the back and forth where when I'm doing it, I know some people do it that way. You
I can
have
ask another question.
Yeah, next question.
Yes, if he's done.
What is macroevolution?
Micro or macro?
Macro.
Micro. Macro. Okay. So a macro is a species turning into another, correct?
You have a minute.
Another question. He didn't answer. He didn't tell me what macroevolution is. Okay. What is He did not tell me what macroevolution is. He's talking about stuff that he don't understand. What's macroevolution?
Okay. Hold on. Hold on. Are you moving? When you're done, Silky, tell him so he'll know you.
Yeah, I'm done. Next question.
What is microevolution?
A species into another one.
So I have another question. So macro and microevolution are the same thing.
Are they the same thing? I wouldn't call it the same because I wouldn't call it the same. Next question.
What does thermodynamics have to do with things dying?
Well, it's one of the laws that's in that. Entropy, that's one of the laws. As things they will die off. Nothing lives forever. Next question.
What is entropy?
Entropy is things that nothing lives forever. As in the law, things will die. That is a law. Deterioration, as you get older, you don't get like sharper. You get Alzheimer's, you get, arthritis. You don't get healthier. You don't start running marathons, playing basketball when you turn 60. You're deteriorating.
Do
Okay.
things
That is a
change
law.
slowly over time? Do things change slowly over time?
Ooh, I mean, I don't know
Do
like what's
things
changing.
change slowly over time?
No, they don't. No.
So you have about 40 more seconds
So
for questions.
Next question.
how is having more slides more evidence?
I had more too. I had about 6 to 8 more I could hit you with, and they yeah, you didn't trust. You don't want to. They were just as nasty as the rest of them. You don't want to see those. Next question.
Are slides evidence?
Hopefully it would be evidence on the slides.
Yep, that's your time. So see how simple that was? That's your 2 minutes. So the point is, if you choose to take a minute when you answer your question, Steve, that he asked you, you have that option. But he gets a full 2 minutes to ask you the questions. So it's not technically 2 minutes only. You get what I'm saying? So now he's going to do his 2 minutes of questions, and let him know when you're done answering your question if I haven't yet told you your minute is up. Silky, go ahead and ask him his questions. Your 2 minutes starts now.
Okay, my first question is, since you brought up the Australopithecus africanus, aka Lucy, can you tell me how was her body found in one place, in one piece?
No, her body was not found in one piece.
Oh, okay, all right. Can you tell me exactly how her body was actually found?
Well, her body was smashed into the soil, so it wasn't a complete body. It was put together in pieces.
Can you tell me how far? Like all in one area?
More than likely, it was in a similar area, not too far away. I mean, you were talking about bones here, so it couldn't have been scattered too far.
It couldn't have been. Okay, what do you call too far? 10 feet, 5 feet, 20 feet, 30 feet, 50 feet range?
Lucy, what does Lucy have to do with? Lucy is not a modern human. Lucy is, as you said, Australopithecus afarensis. Lucy, how people know about Lucy, that Beatles songs, Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. So that's why people like to talk about Lucy so much. But why? Okay, so Lucy was smashed into the dirt. We have pieces of the fossils. Okay.
Okay, well, the correct answer to that is she was found 200 feet down the way.
Okay, 200 feet. Wow. Okay, great. So you're an evolutionist. You're an evolutionist because you know more than me about evolution, right?
Okay, you have about a minute left, Silky. A minute left of questions.
Okay, could you tell me, I need to know what is your evidence for your transitional fossils for evolution?
I never mentioned transitional fossils. You mentioned transitional fossils.
So
I never mentioned evidence for transitional fossils. That's what you mentioned.
So you don't have any.
I didn't attempt to present transitional fossils as evidence for evolution. I didn't attempt to do that. That's what you kept talking about.
But isn't that the whole point of the
thing? So where's your transitional fossils? I didn't say that I had any.
I never made the claim about we evolving and transitioning.
So I never said that you need transitional fossils to support that evolution occurs. I keep saying that evolution is a slow, gradual change over time. That's what I keep saying.
How do you prove it without proof, though?
What?
How do you prove it without proof?
Without fossils in the Natural Museum in the Museum of Natural History in Manhattan. Without going into Manhattan and going into the museum.
Okay, that's a minute. Next question. He answered. He took a minute to answer that.
Yeah. Is that transitional? Fossil. Is that transitional? Yes or no?
You're the one who keeps bringing up transitional fossils. I'm not bringing up any transitional fossils. Are they transitional fossils? Yes or no? I'm not bringing up transitional fossils. You're bringing it up. I never said nothing about no transitional fossils. I never said that.
30 seconds.
So next, I'm on to the. Let me go move on to the next question. So, can you tell me about the how genetics proves fossil DNA evolution?
Okay, so in genetics is used today to improve on taxonomy. So what they do is something called gel electrophoresis, where they cut the DNA fragment and then they put it into a gel with a positive end and a negative end, and then they settle in. And then they put it up against the light. And based on the banding patterns, they know that these organisms have similar genes. So that implies that there is an evolutionary relationship. So that is how genetics is also used to support the model of evolution. Also, you can look at protein production, right? The genes and how they produce particular proteins. Then you could look at the amino acid sequence within that protein to determine similarities between the amino acid sequence of a particular functional protein to determine whether those organisms have evolved similarly. Okay.
Time. You have one more question, Silky.
Okay. Have you proven any of that tonight? Have you shown any sources proving what you just said?
Okay, sir. I wasn't going to come in here with a gel electrophoresis apparatus in order to show the audience. If the audience wants, they can go on the internet. They could research gel electrophoresis. They could research gene mutation. They could really research selective breeding. They can research anything that I suggested, that I mentioned. Right?
So
the things that I mentioned are readily available on the internet. Also, they are taught in your high school biology class, right? What you talked about, I don't know where that's taught because it's discombobulated. And I don't think that you proved your point that evolution is not real. A slow gradual change over time is real. And you're saying that it's not real. And I'm still asking you, where's your model to disprove it?
Okay, let me ask you, Do your fossil?
We're done with the questions. We're out of time, unfortunately. But you both did great from what I'm looking at. And now we're going to go straight into your outro, your closing statements, 5 minutes. And I will do this. I'll put each of you on the screen solo for your closing. And then we're going to put up the poll and let people come in. So thank you so much for taking the time to do this research, both of you. When you're ready, Mr. Caballero, I'll put you on the screen and we can get your closeout. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, but I don't see my slides on the screen.
How do I know you need slides?
I do have slides, but I had to find.
Am I a mind reader? Steve needs slides on the screen. Okay, so I'll put them.
Thank you. Thank you. No problem.
Okay, so I'm putting your slides up.
Okay.
And now, Steve, I'm gonna take us off here, and this is your final.
1 second.
So this is where you don't have to have your camera on, Silky. I'm gonna remove myself. Your time starts when I go off. When I come back, you have 1 minute left.
Mm-hmm.
All right, ready?
Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay, so conclusion, evolution, a slow gradual change over time, is not fake. An enhanced and expanded version of evolution to include the fossil record, geologic timeline, vestigial organs, human embryology, DNA evidence, computer technology, because today computer technology is being used to analyze DNA evidence. We do use computer technology. Sickle cell trait disease, genetic genotype and phenotypic mutations, natural and artificial selection, gene mutation, taxonomy, and slow gradual change in humans over time are not fake. So there also, right there, I have the embryological stages of the embryological development of fish, salamander, turtle, chicken, sheep, and human. And notice in the early stages, you can't tell the difference. They look very, very similar. You can't tell whether those things are going to evolve into a fish, salamander, turtle, chicken, or snake. So the embryologicals and embryology is a science. And it's different than, it's a different branch. It's not evolutionary science. It's just embryology. But when you look at the embryological development of certain organisms, it suggests an evolutionary link between specific forms of life on the planet. And you see it right there when we look at embryology, which is a science. So I don't know if my opponent is also going to say that embryology is not a science. I guess nothing is a science, or everything is a science. And evidence is whatever evidence he says evidence is. Slides are evidence and slides are not evidence. I don't know. Right. Evolution, is it true? A genetic change within a population over time. So again, mutations. Is that true? Yes. Mutations are natural. So genotypically, mutations on the level of the gene, that is natural, that results in phenotypic mutations, which are also natural, which can assist an organism with adapting to a changing environment. You want me to talk about cancer? So cancer is not beneficial, right? So mutations could be beneficial and sometimes they could be harmful. Populations interbreeding, simple species group. I never said that humans could interbreed with chimpanzees. I never said that. As a matter of fact, humans could have sex with a chimp, right? And that may have been how AIDS came about. It may have been how syphilis came about. But we cannot breed with chimpanzees. I also said that humans have 23 chromosomes in their sex cells, and chimpanzees and bonobos would have 24, for a total of 8 body chromosomes and a total of 46 body chromosomes in humans and 48 body chromosomes in chimpanzees. So they won't match. So fertilization won't occur. I said that clearly. So so populations interbreeding, evolution in terms of humans, how humans came about. And I never said that the evolutionary model is complete. I never said that. But I'm also asking my opponent, what is his model? On the other hand, here we have, that could be a representation, that African woman right there, of what we call mitochondrial Eve. So who is mitochondrial Eve, or who are mitochondrial Eves? Mitochondrial Eve, based on the genetic evidence, is the original modern human. She is the original Homo sapiens sapien. She is the mother of all civilization. She is the mother of humanity because she has the most diverse genetic evidence, right? She is the original human. Right? Then you have Y chromosomal Adam, right? Who has the oldest version of Y chromosomes. I can stick with Y chromosomal Eve until the end. I have about 23 seconds left. So the fact that I think that we all should accept that she is the original modern human, and that we all evolved from her, because we also know that certain African people, such as the Twa and the Umbo, Mumbo, are the oldest versions of humans and the original humans.
Time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Caballero.
You're welcome.
Was great. Let's go ahead and move on to your opponent, Silky D. When your camera comes on, we can get you going for your final outro, your closing statement. Just like I told Steve, I'm going to remove him. You get the stage to yourself for your 5-minute closeout. 4 minutes, I will be back in and let you know you have 1 minute left. Okay? Anything you want to share?
No, I'm good. Yes, sir. Yeah, let's get it. All right. So this guy right here, man, so you brought up turtle, sheep, humans, and the embryo, but you're saying what, the turtle, you come from a turtle now, you come from the sheep, the embryo, what's that, looker ship? Because the embryo looks alike, but everything's completely different. Like, what are you talking about? You're not making no sense. And then you got nerve to bring up natural selection and natural this and natural that, but be talking about GMOs in your presentation, genetically modified. Like, what? Then evolution was, you saying it's a negative. I thought it was a progressor. I thought it was a change over time because the harsh environments of the natural ecosystem. So it had to evolve to become better. But if it's de-evolving, how's evolution work then? You more made up stuff. Then you want to go to the split from the ape, but you can't mate with it. So what sense does that make if you claim you came from it, right? You supposedly split off from it, but you can't mate with it. What sense does that make? Like, where's the logic? If you come from this, why you can't touch it? You can't hang with it or nothing. You can't do nothing with this ape. Then you trying to talk about that's how they probably got diseases. Apes kill humans. They can't even deal with those type of diseases and things like that. And then you got nerve to admit that your evolution is highly fragmentary and fraudulent. I'm glad you said that it is fragments. Yeah, you got fragments all in that stuff. So you ain't got nothing real, no facts, no direct evidence. You don't have nothing. And you got nerve to come here. You haven't shown not one lick of evidence, not one direct piece of evidence. The whole night you've been talking nothing but guesses, theories, and speculation. You haven't brought up not one real point. You got nerve to be coming up over here. Yeah, y'all saw it's your boy Silky D, man. You know what I'm saying? That's how we break it down. It ain't that hard. It's taxonomy, like he said, it's classification. It's just for them to help name something, but they can't even name everything. They don't even have all the fossil record. He keep lying about that. They're so far off. He hasn't showed us not one piece of transitional fossils, not one. So not no evidence. And then he trying to tell me what's my theory or what's my model. So I got to bring him a model for his claim that's completely made up. That's all imagination. Talking about whales walked on land and you came from a monkey and then you had turtle sheep and y'all got the same embryos now. Like, you all over the place, but yet showing no information, no sources. You talking about my slides. Where your slides at? You should have been showing us an abundance of evidence. This is this turning into this is this turning into that, and it's proven by this. You haven't shown none of that. All you said all night is like, they suggest this, and it suggests that, and we think it might be this, or we think it might be that. You haven't came with not one lick of evidence, man. Y'all evolutionary people have zero, nothing to stand on, man. Not one piece of evidence, not one scientific law. You have nothing. And everything goes against y'all. We got this slow change over time. And then you keep on bringing up computers. You keep on bringing up computers. So an Apple computer turned into a MacBook. Whoop-de-dang dude. I don't nobody care. Boy, you need to stop it, man, talking about some computer evolution. I need you to pick one. You're dancing all over the place. You're going from this animal to that animal. We was amphibians. We came from apes. Which is it? Like, it's all over the place, man. This is, yeah, you got that bad, bro. Y'all evolutionary people, man. I'm going to be on a killing spree on every one of y'all. Any one of y'all step to me, y'all going to be getting dealt with. Like, I'm done wasting my time with y'all. Y'all going to have to get this work. I ain't got time for it. Let me go turn my screen sideways. I got to plug in my charger. But yeah, it's your boy Silk, man, going off. You feel me? Coming through, doing what I do. Heavy hitter. You feel me? Silk Out Kingdom, stand up. Silkadonia. We taking over everything. Yeah, we ain't playing no games, man. You lucky I had a whole lot more slides than just this. This was just a couple. I still got a hot 6, 8 more for you, dog. Loaded with bullets, man. Stop playing with me. You haven't shown not one piece of evidence, not one direct piece of evidence. You haven't showed nothing. Not nothing, no evidence. And you're supposed to be supporting your theory, supporting your stance, bringing your scholars, showing your biologists, bringing out your geneticists. You haven't done none of that. It's been all speculation the whole night and a bunch of far-fetched guesses and statements. This come from this, but we don't know the origin of that. Make it make sense. Okay, so when y'all got y'all story together, then y'all need to step in the ring and holler. But until then, y'all ain't got nothing. And you steady talking about what's my theory, what's my model. This is your claim. You forgot this is your claim. I told you I'm gonna debunk your stuff, which I showed you. I even brought evolutionary people debunking themselves, telling them, man, yeah, I came out with this theory, but it's pretty far. I'm way out on the limb on this one. I'm way out on the limb. But you know what? We're gonna run with it. That's what y'all was bringing.
Okay, thank you so much to the debaters. The poll is up. Who do you think won this debate? It was very informative. I actually found it to be also edutainment. So I think a lot of people agree with me in the chat. I'm going to bring Ivory in right now. I did drop the link. Oh, she left again. Well, Ivory, when you come back, please come in so we can have you come in and talk to the Info Warriors. These two gentlemen are Info Warriors, part of Ivory's elaborate group. There's a few debaters in there. But while we have people do the poll, I did drop the link. Come on in, ask questions. You know, you don't have to come in trying to teach, but you can, you know, challenge the debaters a bit. We'll do that. I'll wait for Ivory to come on back so she can speak. And thank you, H. Millette. Yes, H. Millette is in there dropping the links for you to support the channel, for you to support the debates, and for you to just support Napashada. And if any of you want to drop anything, let me know so we can put your links in the chat as well. Let me know, drop it in the back, and I'll put it into the chat so it can be shared. Okay, so come on in, y'all. Hit the link. We went for 2.5 hours. So if you want to say anything to these debaters, if you want to ask any questions, this is the time. This is the time, please. Let me drop the link again for those who don't know that it's pinned. And yeah. What time is it where you are, Steve?
I'm in New York, Nepal. I just left you. It's 11 o'clock.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. And Silky, what about you?
Yeah, I'm in H-Town, Houston, Texas. You know, I'm talking about it's 10 o'clock down here, 9:55.
Okay. So thanks. I want to say thank you to both of you. As I said, it's not easy to put this information together. I thank you both for doing this and spending your time. I want to ask you, Silky, because you've seen people be asking you about, I have that same hat. Mine is like a little blacker. Tell people what's going on. Give us the background on your hat.
Yeah, this is my Hogwarts, you know what I'm saying, certification hat. You feel me? This is my Merlin, my Gandalf. You feel me? I might have to take down a few demons. You feel me? It ain't nothing to the wizard to, you know what I'm saying, turn the world on his axis. You know what I'm saying? I had to power up a little bit. My Dumbledore.
Okay. Do you always wear that during debates?
Sometimes, yeah. Yeah, I had a few under it, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, a lot of people fall under this hat.
Okay. All right. So there you go, y'all. Everybody's asking. He's channeling the energy, the wisdom through the cone. I got you. All right. So let me ask. Now I'm going to ask you because, Steve, you're over there with your Kemetic gear. What's going on with that? You threw your hood on. When I talked about Silky's hat, Steve protected his crown. Like, it's a little late now. You should have been wearing that through the debate. I'm not saying you lost or won. I loved it. For me, it was even on both sides. I mean, I'm usually not supposed to weigh in, but I loved it. I love both sides' information. But what's up with you and your Kemetic? Talk to the people who don't know you about your Kemetic background.
No, well, I am Kemetic, and in my tradition, we rely more on science, and we study spirituality as a science. And yes, the things that we do in our spiritual life, we can look for results. We can enter, we can apply the scientific method to spiritual practices or practices in general and look for results. So, I mean, I can't explain the Kemetic tradition, but what I can also say very briefly is that the Black Africans know about Osir or Osar, Oset, and Heru. And they were, the Greeks turned them into Osiris, Isis, and Horus. And then through later adaptations, you know, the narrative about the dying and rising God, it later became Jesus. But before that, it was the Greek god Serapis or Serapis, but a lot of stuff has been borrowed from the Kemetic tradition, and they don't give any credit to Black Africans. Similar in my last slide, I showed a Black African woman who is mitochondrial Eve, and she and other Black African women, they are the mothers of humanity and also the mothers of human civilization. And I'm not saying that's Kemetic science, but that is science, and it is proven.
Well, I appreciate you sharing that with us. We hope to see you come in more and do presentations on your philosophy and your, I say lifestyle, your Kemetic lifestyle and philosophy. Thank you so much to both of the debaters. Speaking of debates, I want to, before we close out, show you once again, if you weren't here in the beginning, we do have coming up a banger, as Ankh puts it. Ankh West, aka God Killer, aka Pseudo Killer, in the community of skeptics, is going up against the illustrious Dr. Inky, the Mason. They will be debating, was pangenesis the scientific portion of Charles Darwin's theory of evolution? And did Darwin produce a scientific theory of evolution? Only on the HOK. Get your tickets. They're only $30. You have until the 25th. Spots are filling up, but you know you're always welcome. Get the tickets, get the link, get involved, get yourself in the seats so you will be a part of this classic. As I said, you know, Sonnetter is notorious for locking these type of hits in the vault. So you want to be able to catch this. October 25th at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Ankh West up against Dr. Inky. These are two HOK OGs. And yeah, only on the HOK. Sonnetter does it again. We will see you there. I had to share that so y'all you can't say I didn't know. So I don't see anybody coming in, and I was trying to wait for Ivory. I know it's late. These gentlemen have taken a lot of time to put their PowerPoints together. I think Silky D is, he's been getting lit through the whole, through the whole debate. So I think he might want to take it to another level. That means that I'm going to let the brother go have the rest of his night. And what were you drinking? I'm so nosy. Was that cognac?
Y'all silly. It was really just apple juice.
Oh, you know what? Good one. I like that. I like that. You shouldn't have shared that. You should have been like, yeah, I was lit and I still, okay. So it was apple juice, but it was great. You did awesome. Very much edutainment. Very awesome. Info Warriors, Ivory Scales. You can find these gentlemen going at it in the back alleys of Facebook Messenger, but we're going to continue to bring the Info Warriors to the HOK Coliseum because these are quality debates. I think they're informative, they're entertaining, and I thank the brothers, as I said. Peace to both of them, peace to the chat. I'm going to go ahead and I was waiting for Ivory and our brother Neo to come in, so I'm just going to go. Yeah, Ivory came in, but then she left. So I am going to actually close this out with one of Neo Love's songs. I'm trying to find the one that I think this, y'all bear with me because I don't know which one it is.
When we gonna see the poll data? I have no idea what was going on in that poll.
You don't see the chat?
No, I can't see it.
The poll is up, y'all.
You mean the comments? I can't see it.
It's looking. You don't see it.
I just clicked on comments, but I don't see no poll. And the comments, I don't really pay much attention to their comments.
How do you not see the poll?
No.
I don't know. The poll. Silky, do you see the poll? Let me get it up here for you. Okay, let me just share the poll for you. Oh, Ivory said, Oh, her phone keeps cutting off. All right, she's having tech difficulties. This won't be the last time we do Info Warriors. So I understand, Ivy. Let me try to screen share this for you, okay? Let's see here.
This one was Silkadonia, baby.
I like your energy, Silky. Nothing's gonna stop Silky. He's like very confident. Okay, let's see here. Here's the poll on the side. Where is it? Can you see the poll?
It's coming up.
Yeah. So that's the poll. All right. So it does say right now,
what's it
Steve.
say? 62.
Silky D, 38%. Steve Caballero, 62% so far. I'll leave the poll open for a minute. I'm gonna play some songs. Y'all get in there and vote. The one
38%.
Steve's people and Silky's people. Don't forget to vote. So let's play some music. I appreciate you guys can hang out, but it's over. The votes are coming in still though. So I'm gonna play some music and
good night, Silky D. Good night,
I'll leave it open for like maybe 5 more
minutes.
Man.
Good debate, bro.
All right, good debate.
Oh yeah, good stuff.
All right.
Step in this ring, we go toe for toe, toe for toe. Tough in the environment, round for round, blow for blow, blow. So one out mine, I'm all that storm, rain, sleet, and snow. Cap on my back like a medic, been ready for war. They choke you on the front line, ready to go. We done run with the jungle, we done climb out the snow. We don't deal with the foes, can't trust them. Them boys throwing signs, but they ain't saying nothing. I see my bread on my sleep, and when I wake from it, it's about to go down up in the street. We bout this shit, something. Sitting on my feet, cause I'm a man on that fix. Running, welcome to the HO. Get we like the wind coming. No, we don't slide with the snakes, slip away from us. Get them your last, watch and see this thing gon' take from you. For the babies, get my heart and soul, make a way for 'em. I put my life on the line like I'm big phone. See, in a minute, we in a minute, I'm Popeye with the city. We keep it bottom moving like it's city. I'm right there back and want me, you can get it. I got that here for home like a way. Research, run that badger like a play. Bring it to you like a play. I'm with us, we straight. Step in this ring, we go toe for toe, toe for toe. Toughest environment, round for round, blow for blow, blow. So one out mine, I'm all that storm, rain, sleet, and snow. Cap on my back like a medic, been ready for war. They choke you on the front line, ready to go. We done run with the jungle, climb out the snow. We don't deal with the foes, can't trust them. Them boys throwing signs, but they ain't saying nothing. They say that they ready for what we gon' get in the thing change. They living in nothing, the rope at their bottom, they hollering the gang. Can't hold in the bang, they killing the bang bang. They can wait for the baby, they living and chillin' the same pain. I gotta keep it alive, we clean them bucket them hot, we make a way to the top, yeah. I thank the Father cause he made a way. And all my haters, all stars, they do the fade away. Up from the gossip, the drama, the hate, they to the cheddar. Oh, when they go down, they still hollering thunder. We go to war for them people, I'm talking young and old, toe for toe. Round for round when it's going down, blow for blow. Searched around from high to low, this info got a red dot. Sources in this clip, man, this might just be a headshot. Step in this ring, we go toe for toe, toe for toe. Toughest environment, round for round, blow for blow, blow. So one out mine, I'm all that storm, rain, sleet, and snow. Cap on my back like a medic, been ready for war. They choke you on the front line, ready to go. We done run with the jungle, climb out the snow. We don't deal with the foes, can't trust them. Them boys throwing signs, but they ain't saying nothing.
Messed up, like they say from up there where y'all at. They say from New York. Well, upstate.
Upstate New York? Nah, we don't claim that.
Screaming at the top of your lungs don't make you that guy. Try to watch my style and replay it, don't make you fly. Don't take a break, cause the fake like the snake. When the big dog away, all they do is clout chase. When I enter the room, all they do is bout face. Put them lions on my back, then ball with the minister. Side put me on there, everybody wanna mimic you. Yeah, I thought I told you we the toughest here. We be on the scene, niggas screen our shit. We the toughest you done seen, we the big boy clique. If he really want smoke, I pull up with him. Toughest environment, smoke city. I can tell by your energy, you ain't really woke. He showed up to the debate, but he choked. No money in his pocket, boy broke. Shit, the only thing he can teach is hope. Kill a spider, drown a fish, stomp a rose, do something. But don't come on side net up with the stunt. Everybody over here getting money. Touche hit me up, told me go and run it. Guess I'm Carl Lewis. You looking dumb foolish. Nigga way upstate making soft music. Boy, this the toughest environment, show you how to do it. Mr. Toughest environment, show you how to do it. We be on the scene, niggas screen our shit. We the toughest you done seen, we the big boy clique. If he really want smoke, I pull up with it. Toughest environment, smoke city. I can tell by your energy, you ain't really woke. He showed up to the debate, but he choked. No money in his pocket, boy broke. Shit, the only thing he can teach is hope. We be on the scene, niggas screen our shit. We the toughest you done seen, we the big boy clique. If he really want smoke, I pull up with it. Toughest environment, smoke city. I can tell by your energy, you ain't really woke. He showed up to the debate, but he choked. No money in your pocket, boy broke. Shit, the only thing he can teach is hope.